Yeah, Chair. Yes, Chair.
The
We haven't
presentation?
received it because of the voluminous of it. I've tried. I've sent them my Gmail account, but even through Gmail, I'm struggling because I want to try also WhatsApp. They trying to send it via WeTransfer, but even through WeTransfer, I have not received the email still then. So there is that particular problem.
Okay, so we don't have the presentation with us.
I'm happy, Honorable Chair.
Yes, you may proceed, MMC Force.
So I've got the presentation ready to load, so I can take the honorable members through the presentation on your screens, and then my office can then also send it via PDF, which is quite unfortunate because many of the slides are very interactive. There's a few videos included, which obviously makes it quite big to be accepted by your server, but I do have the presentation ready on my screen to share with you. And if, with your permission, I can then quickly send it via PDF as well, if that's in order with you.
That's in order, MMC Force, as long as we have the presentation in front of us and you are able to flight the presentation so that honorable members are able to follow. But I would first like to give to the department, let's see now, okay, it's 2 minutes over 22. Department, you have until 10:10. You have half an hour to do your presentation. Then at 10:10, MMC Force, you will then follow. I think that will also give you sufficient time for your presentation. And I heard that Disang said that he's given 20 minutes. So, but I'm giving the department because I saw the volume of their presentation. So I'm giving the LED department, I'm giving them half an hour to do their presentation, followed by yourself. And then the third presentation, who will be doing the third presentation, Disang?
Wesgro.
Okay, the third presentation by Wesgro. In that order, over to the person from who's going to do the presentation from the Western Cape Department. Can you assist?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, we can assist with that. My colleague, Jacques Stoltz, the Director for Tourism, will flight the slide deck. Good morning, honorable members, and welcome to Cape Town, if some of you are here. And lovely to have an opportunity to present some of the work that we're doing. The presentation within our allocated time, where that should be sufficient time, will be shared between myself, DDG in the department, and Jacques Stoltz, who's the Director for Tourism. I appreciate your time and the opportunity to present some of the work that we're doing, and we would welcome any further questions. So let's proceed. So as an overview, for the presentation, we'll be covering very briefly the tourism performance of the Western Cape, because I think the context of the tourism performance is key to see how that impacts on dorpies and on towns and on communities. We'll then talk about some of the planning context, some of the tourism initiatives, and then some of our work in action in the past year and what we're proposing, our 5-point strategy for the coming year. So let me begin just by speaking briefly about the tourism industry in the Western Cape has not only recovered since the COVID period, but is also recording record spending, both from international and domestic tourists in our region. Rural areas are really benefiting from the fact that people are looking for interesting experiences. So they are traveling outdoors, they're traveling to the small little towns. And I think you'll see a little bit later in our presentation, our work on developing experiences in communities. In small towns, for example, in the Overberg is a very classic example. Maybe Jacques can touch on that as an example of the bicycle routes we've started with local community operators. So that's been great to see. Our township communities rely predominantly at the moment on cultural and heritage tourism. But I will also briefly at the end talk about the fact that as a Department of Economic Development, we're also about to launch our tourism and SMME strategy, which will incorporate tourism as a major catalytic sector. Our strategies are fully aligned to the national policy and the national department strategy. And you'll see the increased spend, as I said, starting to go. Our role, we see Wesgro and ourselves as two sides of the same coin, with us focusing on the management and the development of tourism, and Wesgro then taking care of the marketing and the promotion and the facilitation of investment and so forth. But we continue to be, we have resource constraints generally, as we know, for people in government. But we also, for example, with the floods recently, there's a continual effort of dealing with one crisis after the next, with the latest one having been the storms, where the indications are that the province is once again going to have to identify areas that are impacted by the storm that need rebuilding. But it is sad to see there were, as you might have seen on the news, whole towns were cut off, but we've responded well, and our province is almost up and running again after what was quite a dramatic impact from this, in some cases, a 1 in 200 year storm level. So next slide, please. We can continue. So very briefly, and I don't want to labor on this at all, because I think the other things are more crucial for the context of this meeting, but this is just a quick overview of the two-way passengers. As you can see, we've reached, just 2 years ago, we reached the 2019, 2020 level, and we're now starting to really show an increase in that. And on the domestic level, we're also starting to meet that level of tourism growth. Next slide. Oh, these slides have been made available to you, so members, so please feel free to, and these are just some of the pointers here. Arrivals in the Western Cape have reached 1.54 million, and that 11% growth since 2014. Tourism spend, as I said in the introduction, has really been interesting to see that people are staying longer, sometimes using Western Cape or Cape Town as a base, and then moving from there to other parts of the province. And it really has been a #1 destination, particularly for certain markets. I think some of you will hear from Wesgro, some of the air access programs that we've invested in has really started to bear fruit, where more people are being able to fly directly into Cape Town, and then using our linkages into Africa, into Kruger, into Angola, and various other parts of Africa. And then we've certainly embedded ourselves as an experience-rich destination, and you can see that from the way that travelers are using AI, the way they're using technology. People almost choose a destination based on the experience first, and then decide where they want to go. So next slide. Even this one, Jacques, I'm not going to belabor this. You can probably just move to the next slide, please. So in context, I wanted to just pinpoint where tourism is located within our provincial plan. So we have a growth for jobs strategy stretching over 10 years up to 2035, which has an overall target of creating a R1 trillion economy in the Western Cape. And we have 7 what we call priority focus areas. And the one to double click on is the little pink one on the left-hand side, stimulating market growth through exports and domestic markets. And we see tourism, of course, as an export, as an earner of foreign direct investment. And we have specific targets for each one of these elements, and they are very much interfacing. They interlink between, you can't do tourism or exports in isolation of, for example, a focus on energy, a focus on water, focus on driving investment, technology, infrastructure. And then lastly, on the right-hand side is the improving of access to economic opportunities. And that's everything we're doing with working with SMMEs, local communities, township economies, rural economies, and all of those work in concert to reach our quite audacious target of almost doubling the number of tourist arrivals over the next 5 to 10 years. So at this point, I'd like to hand over to our Director of Tourism, Jacques, who's going to drill down into the detail. Thank you, Jacques.
Good. Thank you, Rashid, and good morning, honourable members, honourable chairperson. It's lovely to be joining you this morning. I think it's a great opportunity for us to share the work that we are doing around VTSDs. As Rashid indicated, our overarching strategy is the Growth for Jobs strategy. But if you look at the provincial strategic plan, as well as the department's 5-year plan, and also our annual performance plan, you'll see that there are 2 specific areas that are very important for us. And that the first is stimulating market access. So we see our role as primarily focusing on making sure that not only are new products and experiences created, but also that they are market ready. And once they are market ready, then we kind of hand over to Wesgro for the marketing on the marketing side. Apologies, my laptop seems to be freezing. I think then just generally, I think it's also important to just reflect on how we respond to both the new, the 2024 white paper on tourism. The white paper is very clear on the role and responsibilities of provincial departments. And then also a reminder that as province, we also have a mandate in terms of the 2014 Tourism Act in relation to the regulation of tourist guides. You'll see on the right-hand side, the way in which we respond to this mandate is by implementing an integrated strategy, focusing on improved destination planning as well as ecosystem support. We have a small tourism growth and development team of about 2 people. But I think we are doing exciting work, which I'll talk you through. And then also we obviously, a lot of our effort is around tourist guide regulations as well as the visitor safety program. I think we also respond fairly well to the National Tourism Sector Strategy. I know the national strategy is under review because the current iteration comes to an end this year. But you'll see that in terms of the 5 pillars of the NTSS, we do respond between DDAT, Wesgro, and the various initiatives like the Convention Bureau, Cape Town Air Access, and Cruise Cape Town to the different pillars of the NTSS. We have our own 10-year destination management plan called Tourism Blueprint. We're about halfway into implementation of the strategy. And again, you'll notice that the Tourism Blueprint places a strong emphasis on tourism product development, destination marketing, tourism infrastructure, visitor services, and then also institutional arrangements. And within that, there are clear implications for enterprise, rural, and community-based tourism as well. We also implement a holistic approach to destination management, focusing on coordination and planning, increasing connectivity, experience development, which I'll talk a bit about, infrastructure development, product development, as well as service excellence, and then lastly, sustainability. This approach to destination management has therefore also helped us shape our programmatic response to tourism with 6 priorities, with DDAT taking responsibility for most of priorities 1 to 5, whereas Wesgro leads on priority 6. So very briefly, Chairperson, I'm just going to talk through each of these areas, particularly in relation to specific projects we are busy implementing. We do try to take a business lifecycle approach, so to ensure that our programs respond to the various life cycles of businesses. And then also we do also take a destination-wide approach. I'm not going to go through each of these now, but I think you'll get a sense of the projects we are implementing as I conclude the presentation. So one of the key areas that we have been active in since 2020 is to invest in tourism infrastructure activities and attractions. We do this primarily through the Tourism Growth Fund. It is a small fund, but I will give a summary at the end. But we have been able to implement multiple projects, more than 30 projects, I think, since 2020. And it really came about in response to the fact that we were seeing products closing down because of COVID-19. So it was a response to support small businesses, municipalities, and other organizations. And basically, we provide grant funding to qualifying businesses. And typically, this would be, for example, support with purchasing equipment like bicycles, helmets, kayaks. We even sponsored the procurement of a hot air balloon for a project in Mossel Bay. And then more recently, given our experience in the Tourism Growth Fund, we've also created an experience development masterclass series, and we piloted this last year. We are continuing this financial year. And as part of the pilot program, we conducted regional district masterclasses in Overberg, Garden Route, and West Coast. From the success of this program, we now also, as of this year, introducing a microgrant. So essentially, the program teaches small enterprises how to develop an experience. And then also through the microgrant, we provide an opportunity for the entrepreneur to launch the experience to market. A lot of the work that we do around the regulatory environment obviously focus on the tourist guiding industry. So between 21-22 and the previous financial year, we registered nearly 7,000 tourist guides. We trained almost, just under 600 tourist guides over that period. We've also inspected 743 individuals. Examples of community-based training that we've done over the past few years: we've trained both culture and nature community site guides in the West Coast with specialization in the cradle of human culture. We've recently trained astro specialist guides in the West Coast and Central Karoo. We trained culture guides in Langa and some of the surrounding communities. We've trained marine guides, again, coming from the community in both Hermanus and Mossel Bay. And then more recently, we've also trained new culture and adventure guides in Stellenbosch. We also host an annual Business of Guiding workshop, and our priority is to ensure that we cater to the needs of women, youth, and people with disabilities when we organize these support programs. We do have a comprehensive tourism safety strategy that we implement, and that covers both reactive and proactive tourism safety initiatives. But what I wanted to focus on from a VTSD point of view is that for the past 2 years, we've implemented a tourism safety awareness training program. We've implemented this in communities like Hart Bay, Boerkaap, Grabouw, more recently in Bergrivier as well as Drakensberg. Then we obviously, given the disasters that Rashid mentioned, we have actually also been rolling out a disaster risk awareness training program specifically for tourism enterprises. Priority 4 is a lot of this is around supporting small businesses with skills development. Again, various projects underway. Businesses can access support through the Tourism Growth Fund. We offer sponsored accredited customer service training. We are currently working on the How to Thrive in Tourism Enterprise guides, as well as career guides. We do publish a Tourism Enterprise Support Guide, and that's bottom right corner. And then we also promote free online platforms like Atingi. And then lastly, just in terms of the work that we're doing around sustainability, we actively promote responsible tourism. I mentioned disaster risk reduction, accessibility, inclusivity, and diversity through tailored workshops and other training modalities. So you will see there on the left-hand side, these are previous participants of our Sustainable Tourism Empowerment Partnership. And they've actually, these both businesses have subsequently won quite important sustainability awards. Again, we are repeating this program this year. All right, so just very briefly in summary, we have invested about 90 million since 2021 in the growth fund. And for this new financial year, we're very excited. We've actually more than doubled the fund size. So currently we have 7 million rand that we are investing. Through the fund, we've leveraged about 11.7 million through additional third-party investment. We've supported 172 businesses since 2024 across our various tourism initiatives. I've mentioned the 577 tourist guides that we've trained, as well as the 444 frontline staff trained in service excellence. Okay, Rashid, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jacques. And we have about, I'll just take another few minutes just to emphasize the two new initiatives we have. So members, in the Western Cape, tourism is so integral to the economy that in every one of those PFAs, the 7 regions, tourism keeps bubbling up. So whether it is the Skills Development Chief Directorate that reports to me, there's such an emphasis. For example, we provide additional staff members at the airport. We put staff members into various tourism areas through a kind of dual system where people are trained and placed in communities. So each of our other chief directorates, other than tourism, the SMME, the red tape reduction program, we spend a lot of time unlocking tourism and seeing how that benefits the tourism ecosystem or the tourism economy. For me, it's not, tourism isn't just a sector here, it's an entire economy. And what we're doing this year as a major project is a new strategy that pulls all that together, what we're calling the MSME and entrepreneurship strategy. And that is going to be a comprehensive strategy, again, a 10-year plan that says, how do we build entrepreneurship into people's lifestyles? And that includes working with every single government department, working with partners like our special economic zones, all of our economic entities, and unlocking the possibilities for MSMEs and entrepreneurship, all the way from the curriculums in high schools to financial support to training, and to seeing how people can go from being a small micro business all the way up to scaling and exporting. So that's the MSME and entrepreneurship strategy. And in another, at the MinMex, for example, with Minister Ndebeni, we've been sharing some of our work in that area. And then the next slide is our very specific township growth strategy. So while the MSME strategy covers townships as a geographic region, as a location, we can't deny the spatial legacy of apartheid and the fact that townships, both historical colored townships and Black African townships, as well as the more recent informal settlements, there is a need for a particular emphasis on those as spatial areas. And so that includes understanding that you can't build tourism without first securing safety and psychosocial support and infrastructure that's required. So I'm excited about the interface of these strategies with our tourism plans. So, Honorable Chairperson, that brings our presentation to an end, and we look forward to answering any questions when we get to that point. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Tofi and Mr. Stoltz, for the presentation. You've given us 5 extra minutes So I think Mr. Vos, who is next? Mr. Vos?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to try and share my screen.
We're having an extra 5 minutes from Mr. Tofi and Mr. Stolz. You may proceed, MMC Vos.
Okay, wonderful. Madam Chairperson, I just want to check, can you see my screen? Are you seeing the presentation on the screen?
Yeah, the presentation is visible.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Madam Chair and honorable members, thank you for the opportunity to appear before your committee today and to present on behalf of the City of Cape Town. I should perhaps start by reassuring members that what you are about to see is not the product of artificial intelligence or impressive graphics. These are real projects, real programs, and real outcomes being delivered on the ground. Now, with time being limited, I will take you through the presentation as efficiently as possible. But before I do so, it is worth reminding honorable members that the Constitution is very clear. Local tourism is a local government competency. And of course, tourism development and destination management and destination promotion are responsibilities entrusted to municipalities. And there are responsibilities that we as the City of Cape Town take very seriously. So our approach is therefore not accidental. It is very focused, energetic, because we understand the important role that tourism plays in driving economic growth and supporting those businesses and creating jobs for our residents. I am joined by officials from my department who are online with me. Director Lance Greyling, Head of our Economic Development and Investment Department within my Economic Growth Directorate. Also Rory Viljoen, who is the Manager of our Place Marketing and Tourism Branch within my directorate, and also Mr. Enver Dumini, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Cape Town Tourism. And therefore, we appreciate the opportunity to engage with you on the work we are doing to grow Cape Town's visitor economy. Now, for those members who I've not met yet, my name is James Vos, and I serve as the City of Cape Town's mayoral committee member for economic growth, including tourism. And it's actually quite very special for me to be appearing, Madam Chair and honorable members, before this committee, because many years ago, I sat on the other side of these discussions as a member of parliament, and now I have the privilege of appearing before you in my current role. Now, I trust that the Secretariat has now circulated the presentation that we've submitted, but I'll also show you some of those slides. And before anybody gets too concerned about death by PowerPoint, I've absolutely no intention of taking you through all 84 slides one by one, because I've designed the presentation in different themes, because we wanted members to have a comprehensive overview of our work. Many of the slides contains examples, photographs, actual projects and campaigns that are happening on the ground. And nothing in this presentation is theoretical. Every campaign, every airline partnership, tourism program, city-to-city agreement and destination development initiative reflected in those slides is real, active, and being implemented. So rather than reading every slide, I would like to group them into themes to explain what we are doing, why we are doing it, and what success looks like. And Madam Chair, honorable members, at the heart of everything we do is a very simple mission. It is creating economic opportunity. Now, moving on to the next slide, and I just want to get an indication that my slides are in fact moving, Madam Chair. Can you confirm?
Yeah, the slides are moving, MMC Vos.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So tourism is not a nice to have. It is one of the most powerful job creators available to us. And so last year, Cape Town has welcomed approximately 2.4 million overnight visitors. And those visitors contribute to 24.5 billion rand in direct tourism spending and supported more than 106,000 jobs in Cape Town. That's nearly 7% of Cape Town's workforce working in tourism. And so those numbers matter because behind every one of those jobs is a family, and we want those numbers to grow. And so within the department, we have placed specific focus on destination marketing, investment promotion, and destination development as three key priorities that basically informs our visitor economy. And in fact, my long-term vision is very quite simple. I want a tourism-related job in every community across Cape Town. And that is why tourism sits within the Economic Growth Directorate and not a standalone department. We don't see tourism as separate from economic development. We see it as a key driver of economic growth, investment, and employment. And so what you see on the screen now gives you a quick overview of how we position Cape Town based on our 6-pillar marketing strategy: to live, to work, to study, to play, to invest. And so we are very deliberate in the way we position Cape Town in key source markets and globally. And you'll see on these slides that our work then focuses on those 3 broad areas, as I said at the beginning: place marketing, investment, and also destination development. And those 3 areas really work together. And what you see on the screen now is our latest place marketing campaign called This is Cape Town. It's about 2 minutes in total, and I don't want to take too much of your time by showing you the video. We can send it separately to honorable members. But what is very important from the way we are now marketing Cape Town, it is to show you nature, cuisine, culture, luxury, authenticity, work from home, a lot of the linkages between built environment and nature, our beaches, our winery, our township experiences. So we're trying our best to package it all from majestic mountains, as you can see, right through to those authentic experiences in all corners of our city. We see Cape Town being marketed much more than for its mountains and its beaches, but more for its creativity, its crafts, its cuisines, etc. And on the screen now is a very specific program that we are funding within Wesgro called the Air Access Program. Now, when you talk about destination development, you can't just develop it and not think that visitors won't come back again. You need to be very specific around how you position Cape Town in those key source markets. And so we are extremely excited that we have now 230 international flights landing every single week into Cape Town during peak. And if you develop a destination but nobody knows about it, visitors won't just arrive. And if visitors arrive but there's no investment, no business confidence and no economic growth and no benefits. So everything therefore works together as part of that ecosystem. And so this slide is very intentional, how we then position Cape Town as a gateway into Africa, a proudly South African city with those corridors into South America, into North America, deepening our connections into Africa, as you see on the slide now, into Europe, into UK, and then, of course, our 2 big focus areas being India and China. And so those are 2 very important countries that we are looking at. And all of those connectivities did not happen by chance. It was through deliberate route development, airline engagement, long-time partnerships, and also the growth reflect now here in our international arrivals. And one can see connectivity, campaigns backed up with conversion, driving our steady increase in domestic and international arrivals, because every new route creates opportunities for tourism, trade, investment, And my colleagues on the call will know, I often say this, in air connectivity, what drives the profits are the bums on the seats and the boxes in the belly. So that's why we are so obsessed with opening up new markets, and China and India are very much on our radar. We have entered into airline conversations, tourism operator agreements to see how we can open up those markets. And the next few slides then shows exactly those positive numbers when it comes to airlines and to cruise, because closely linked to aviation is cruise tourism. And unlike the old saying about ships passing in the night, we are certainly not sitting back and waiting for cruise liners to arrive by chance. We are actively engaging cruise operators and shipping companies to position Cape Town as both a destination and a turnaround port. And Madam Chair, honorable members, the reason is simple. The longer the ship stay, the greater the economic impact. Passengers spend money, crew spend money, supplies are locally sourced, hotels benefit, restaurants benefit, tour operators benefit, and the economic value generated by cruise clearly demonstrates why this sector remains a priority for the city government. Chairperson, if I can now move on to destination marketing, which is reflected in the next slides. Now, one of the biggest projects we have undertaken over the last year was the launch of our This is Cape Town campaign. I often joke that many marketing experts would probably disagree with this approach I took, but the conventional wisdom would be to select a handful of cities, focus your budget there, and slowly build awareness over time. Well, our view was different. Tourism is one of the most competitive industries in the world, and every city is competing for visitors. Every destination is fighting for attention, and every tourism authority is trying to secure its share of the global market. And so I challenged my officials. I said to them, I don't want us to think small. Let's go and design a campaign that puts Cape Town in the front of the world. That became then the foundation of our This is Cape Town campaign, which we've launched across 55 cities and 6 continents. It was the boldest and largest place marketing campaign that the city has ever undertaken. And importantly, it was not just marketing for marketing's sake, it was built around conversion. And so the London Black Cab campaign is a good example. Those taxis were not simply wrapped with beautiful Cape Town images. Each one of those taxis in London carried a QR code linked directly to booking opportunities and airline partnerships, allowing potential visitors to move seamlessly from seeing Cape Town on the beautiful marketing to a bookings platform. As you can hear, Madam Chair, I'm obsessed with conversion, and that means forward bookings, making sure that every campaign we do will lead to forward bookings. And that was the objective, to move people from awareness to action, to click on that bookings platform. And the same principle informed our New York campaigns, where we've recently launched prominent advertising across a number of key locations across New York, on the yellow taxis, outside the International Convention Center. And again, all of the clever marketing you'll see, from the London cab to the yellow taxis or cabs in New York, are linked with QR codes so that people looking at the marketing can quickly QR it, and it will take them to those booking platforms. And we did the same for Africa, where we've now launched our campaigns across Africa, a number of African cities. As a city, we have sister city agreements across the continent, airline partnerships with Kenya Airlines, and members will also now see that we've moved a lot of our campaigns into China and into India, where we have been in India launching billboards, what we call out of house advertising. We had billboards, We had roundtable sessions with tourism operators in India, meetings with airlines, so that we can really build momentum to tap into that market. And there you'll see on the screen some of the marketing collateral that we've launched in India, and the results were impressive. For a 6-month period, we had more than 230 million impressions on our meta platforms across India, showcasing Cape Town's cultures, cuisines, communities, crafts. So we are very specific on what we put out to the market, because travelers are spoiled for choice. So we have to be very specific on the things we spotlight that will entice Indian travelers to visit Cape Town. We have also run campaigns in the Middle East, focusing on the Muslim markets. And there we had to work closely with experts in the field of religion, customs, traditions, food preparation, because travelers are seeking out destinations that are paying close attention to their religions and their food preparation, etc. And so we had very specific campaigns around the Muslim market. In China, we were the first city to break through onto the WeChat platform. So now Cape Town is proudly marketed on the WeChat platform across China, specifically in our sister cities, where we have 4 sister city agreements and beyond. And I personally led delegations into both those markets, namely India and China, to represent our city and our country in those locations, and making a strong case for visitors to choose Cape Town and South Africa, specifically because of our new trusted tour operator scheme. And the results you'll see there are very, very impressive on the WeChat platform in China. But I want to quickly move along. So when we market Cape Town for our leisure, our cuisine, our cultures, we are also marketing Cape Town for business events, conferences and events. So as the city government, we fund and host many of these international events, and we do it very deliberately. We also fund the Convention Bureau, because these visitors fill up our hotels, they eat in our restaurants, they use our public transport, they buy our products. So you'll see a big focus from the city government is bidding, funding and hosting international events here in Cape Town, so that we can also generate as much value for future investment from these type of strategic events. Madam Chair, in your introduction, you specifically asked around small business development, focusing on entrepreneurs. I like to call them tourismpreneurs. How do we build more of these tourismpreneurs? And this is where we partner with Cape Town Tourism, and this work becomes incredibly important. So the city funds Cape Town Tourism through a service delivery agreement, because they perform specialized destination marketing and destination management functions that are really essential to the visitor economy. And we are very clear about what outcomes we expect from that investment. We expect destination marketing, visitor servicing, destination management, neighborhood tourism development, the travel-wise safety program. And so Cape Town Tourism then operates these visitor information centers, manages our destination programs, supports tourism businesses and runs campaigns for us as the city, and also with a broader place marketing focus, because together with those responsibilities, we also look at clever marketing opportunities. And so what you see on the screen now is the branding that we put up at all of the airport arrivals and departure lounges. And so we will then take, as the city, responsibility for marketing our city at our airports. We did Cape Town Airport, we did Oliver Tambo Airport during the G20 summit, and many, many other opportunities that we then utilize We've also recycled all of that branding into bags, which we hand out at conferences. So all of the branding that comes down, new branding goes up. We have unemployed women in our communities then make bags with their names on the bags. This bag was made by Nolwandle from Kailicha. This bag was made from Auntie Susie from Mitchell's Plain. So each bag has the name of the person who made the bag, and then we distribute all of these bags at different events. I'm quickly going to show you some more marketing before I get into the small business development. These are some of the brochures that we are developing in all of the big languages: Spanish, French, German, English, Portuguese, and Mandarin. So all of our Cape Town marketing collateral gets translated into these languages and made available on the online platforms. We also published various online magazines on golfing, cycling, ocean, food, theater. So we look closely at what visitors are looking for experiences in entertainment, in the arts, in the foods, in the cycling, and then we make as much marketing collateral available on the online platforms. We've also decided to go one step further, and that is to use storytelling as part of our value proposition, where we are taking businesses in Cape Town, tourism businesses, and allowing them to write their own stories and publicizing their stories, their product, their service offering on our platforms, so that it makes it much more genuine and authentic, and not just simply marketing these products for the sake of marketing, but rather making it much more authentic and genuine. These are some of the accolades that we have received as a result of our place marketing and tourism campaigns over the last couple of years. And there you'll find some more of the QR codes that will take you directly to all of the marketing collateral that we have developed. And importantly, to say that all of our marketing is backed up with conversion. Now, colleagues, I want to quickly spend the next few minutes talking about our small business development and our destination development initiatives, because this is where the magic happens. So obviously we want to make sure that our businesses are tourism ready. And so we do a lot of work in communities, in neighborhoods, to make sure that there's a better geographic spread of visitor spending. But before we get to visitor spending, we need to make sure that those products are market ready, the businesses are up and running, their costing, their pricing, their marketing. And to do that, we run a lot of those business development programs throughout the city through our business hub program. Last year, more than 5,800 small businesses participated in our small business development programs, focusing on costing, pricing, marketing, so that we make the businesses tourism ready. And then we connect them to the tourism ecosystem through linkages with tourism operators, bookings, platforms, so that we build itineraries, so that when visitors come to Cape Town, they can go to the V&A waterfront, to Cape Point, to Table Mountain, to Gugusetebu in Langa, to Kailicha for the best cuisine on Spine Road that you'll find anywhere, so that we make sure that we build itineraries for visitors that makes it easier to package. Instead of visitors looking for things to do, we are packaging it through building itineraries and building business confidence from the ground up. Now, I know that honorable members in this committee have a big focus on domestic tourism. When I was sitting where you are sitting today, I was asking the very same question about what are you doing for domestic tourism? Now, this is why we've launched at the Travel Indaba 2 weeks ago in Durban, our Cape Town domestic tourism campaign called You Don't Need a Holiday, You Need My Cape Town. The objective is simple: to make travel more affordable, encourage more South Africans to experience Cape Town. And within the first week of launching the campaign, I'm told that a couple of thousand airline seats had already been sold through participating packages. And Chairperson, I want to emphasize that this domestic tourism campaign is to position Cape Town as a proudly South African city, and because sometimes people create a false choice between international and domestic tourism. For us, there's no choice. We want both. We want more international visitors, and we want more South Africans to travel within South Africa. And alongside that campaign, we've also launched our Cape Town Visitor Guide to make tourism more affordable and accessible, where you will find 50 things to do for under 50 Rand. You'll find free things to do within our city. So we've packaged as much of the products and services available to the market into our visitor guide that's available in print and online, with a big focus on accessibility, universal accessibility, responsible tourism, because research shows that visitors are looking for places that are universal accessible for elderly travelers, for disabled travelers. And so there are very much attention paid around universal accessibility. In fact, Cape Town has a blind tour guide. Through Cape Town Tourism, we have trained a blind tour guide that is taking visitors around Cape Town, and we call it the Limitless Cape Town campaign. We've also, as Cape Town, signed an agreement with Namibia and Zimbabwe at the Travel Indaba in Durban to position Cape Town as a gateway into Southern Africa. So when visitors come to Cape Town, we signed an agreement now with Namibia and Zimbabwe that they'll also visit some of the locations within those regions. That is just to strengthen again the Cape Town and South Africa value proposition with our neighboring countries. There is a quick overview of the work we do in communities, where we have developed a local tourism forum with tour guides, with women in business, with a lot of the tourism operators, from transport to accommodation to restaurants. So we've brought all of those service providers into what we call a local tourism forum, where we will then do knowledge sharing, best practice, workshops. And the whole idea is to strengthen their business value proposition and to create linkages, because tourism is a team sport, and we want as many tourism businesses as possible from corner to corner, community to community, to benefit from the visitors coming into Cape Town, so that there's a better geographic spread. And that is just giving you a snapshot of some of the performances around how many people are attending and what are the purpose behind bringing all of these tourism operators together, so that we can look at innovation, the role of government, industry bodies, for example, which focuses on tour guides, on hospitality, on accommodation. And there you'll see on the screen what type of market exposure we are creating for businesses at World Travel Market. And as you know, World Travel Market Africa is our signature tourism event, with wonderful participation from the National Department of Tourism and SA Tourism. And this is really where we showcase the best of South Africa and Africa to international audiences. We've launched our Kailicha tourism product launch. You'll see it all on the slides now as I go through them briefly, because in Kailicha there's a wonderful value proposition in culture and cuisine along Spine Road, where we are working with businesses around their product development, their market access, and linking their businesses to the bigger tourism ecosystem around township tours, which includes cycling, cooking classes, etc. We also have a focus on heritage tourism, specifically in Gugulethu, and you'll see it all there on the screen, where we've created a roadmap of all of the heritage sites in those areas, working with the Gugulethu Heritage Tourism Association around stakeholder coordination. We want to make sure there's more participants and less spectators. So if there's a business in a specific area that can provide a service to a visitor, we want that business to be part of our local tourism forum. Because it's not about tourism businesses. It is about businesses that provides a service and a product to a visitor, whether it's local or a tourist. And that's really how we build the destination in making it much more tourism focused. In Langa, we have got our community tourism awareness program, Gugu Setebu, which plays a key role. It's an important destination within Langa, which falls under the Arts and Culture Department, but as economic growth and tourism, we utilize that asset for activations, for educationals, for tourism opportunities, etc. Tourism Teacher Think Tank Program, again, another wonderful way to make sure that tourism reaches more young people, and specifically our educators. And so we run a Tourism Teacher Think Tank program to equip teachers to become much more involved in tourism so that they can inspire and prepare young people for careers in tourism. We also do Ekasi networking sessions where we go into communities and we do what we call Ekasi neighborhood community tourism development. And again, it's taking existing businesses, emerging businesses, and making their products market ready and creating access to market by making them join these networking sessions and giving them the membership benefit so that they can link their product and services to other tourism operators. Because if you do it alone, you're going to go nowhere slowly. If you do it with other tourism operators, you're going to go much further. And so that is the whole idea about our Ekasi networking sessions. Just some more examples. We've also got a Future Leaders School program where we are exposing learners to tourism and hospitality through awareness, through learnerships, through educationals. So we have a schools program where we work with the education department around the teachers and the learners. And that's just one of the examples you'll see on the screen. Mention was made earlier about safety, and this is a big thing for us because visitors must feel safe and they must also know that when an incident happens, we are quick to respond. And so we have a community safety awareness program called Travel Wise. So when an incident occurs, immediately we activate this team to provide care and comfort to the victims. We help them get their travel documents replaced. We put them up in a hotel so that they can get the necessary counseling, because, honorable members, incidents do occur. There's no denying it, but it is how you respond to it. From the ATM theft to pickpocketing to fraud and corruption and robbery. Or a traveler gets hurt while climbing the mountain. Anything can happen. And this program then prepares our teams to go out and provide care, comfort, and counseling through our tourism band-aid program. And also we work very closely with the embassies to replace those travel documents, etc., etc. So this is a key program that we are running jointly between the City of Cape Town, the provincial government, and Cape Town Tourism to make sure that we give visitors as much comfort and safety awareness during their visits to Cape Town. A quick word around responsible tourism. Colleagues, if we are not going to take our responsibilities as
MMC
cities,
Force,
as
please round up for
government
me.
more
Please round
seriously
up.
around
MMC
responsible
Force,
tourism,
please round
we're
up
going to
for
fall
me.
behind. And that is because cities around the world are doing really cool stuff around raising the standard of responsible tourism practices, whether it's in the built environment, whether it's in the consuming environment. We need to pay much more attention to responsible tourism. And that's why my department has built the responsible tourism as a deliverable into our tourism framework, where we are doing all of the things you see on the screen. And that's why responsible tourism will feature very prominently in the way we market and prepare our destination. Just another quick snapshot of our learners, tourism teachers think tank program. We have 8 schools participating across Cape Town, just under 800 learners. And we had various outreaches across Cape Town, from Hanover Park to Mitchell's Plain. And that's another slide just showing how we are growing tourism leaders in Cape Town, our community involvement, again, our universal accessibility, which I've already touched on, our visitor safety program. And now I will end off with the following, Madam Chair. We are busy putting the final touches on Cape Town's new tourism framework. Now, this new tourism framework is all about the next in tourism. It is to achieve above average growth in our revenue. It is to make certain that we are looking at new ways of doing tourism. And so when I think about what success looks like, I keep coming back to a few practical things. It's about length of stay, increasing tourism spending, and building forward bookings. And so my team and I have worked on this new tourism framework 2030 for the last few months in consultation with tourism bodies, academia, businesses. So we've consulted extensively on what is the next for tourism in Cape Town. And it's really about focusing on the markets that actually convert, not just the ones that look good on paper. And therefore, it's about spreading the benefits of tourism more widely across communities. And so next month, I will officially sign off on this new tourism framework 2030. And on the screen, you'll see the 4 key pillars: reducing obstacles to growth, synchronized marketing, strengthening responsible tourism, and visionary leadership. And we have developed action steps for each one of those key performance areas. Because last year alone, we had 2.4 million overnight stays. We had 24.5 billion rand contribution to our economy. And as I've mentioned previously, 106,000 people working in tourism in Cape Town. And quite frankly, I want to see those numbers grow, and so do you. But the key question is, how do we avoid hitting a ceiling? That's why we are introducing this new tourism framework, 2030, focused on longer stays, higher spending, and a better geographic spread. And this slide, Madam Chair and honorable members, shows the engine behind the strategy. Some elements are working, and we'll keep them, because you don't break what's working. But we are also introducing some new components: technology, data, new experiences, and new market development. And behind every element are clear action steps. And what you'll see on the slide now is the strategic context and the strategic focus areas. And this is exactly why we want to introduce this new tourism framework for Cape Town. So basically, it becomes our new strategy to increase the visitor economy in Cape Town. And this is what we hope to achieve. Grow arrivals to 5 million, consisting of 2.8 million domestic trips and 2.2 million foreign arrivals, unlock 32.4 billion rand in visitor spend and increase our tourism jobs to 93,000. So, honorable members, I want to basically see one tourism-related job in every household. I want to increase the geographic spread drastically. I want much more of our businesses benefiting from those forward bookings across Cape Town so that all of the communities can benefit from tourism, whether it's a guest house, a tour operator, a tour guide, a restaurant, a curio shop, a clothing designer. We want everybody who's in the creative industry, in the hospitality industry, in the food and beverage industry, in the transport industry to benefit from tourism. And that is why this Tourism Framework 2030 focuses on tourism arrivals, tourism expenditure, and employment. Now, Madam Chair, as I come to the end of my presentation, I know that your committee undertook a tour of Lookout Hill, and that is very important because it's in Khayelitsha and it's situated on Spine Road, and so it very much is an important location. Khayelitsha, Langa, Gugulethu, and that forms part of our neighborhood tourism program, where we create opportunities for local businesses to gain exposure, connect with a wider economy, and we are deliberately trying to make tourism growth reach more of these communities. And members will see our work around responsible tourism and universal accessibility in many of those slides. And that is why we have a dedicated SMME program to help those businesses set up shop and scale their businesses and then create market access. Last year, 5,800 small businesses participated in our programs, in person, online, and coming to our network sessions. Now, obviously, a place must be a great place to live for it to be a great place to visit. And that is why the city invests so heavily in infrastructure, mobility, water, energy, public safety, service delivery. And I've also been tasked by the city mayor to drive our Ease of Doing Business program. And through our Ease of Doing Business program, we are constantly looking at ways to reduce obstacles, improve turnaround times, and making it easier for businesses to open up shop, expand, and create jobs. And alongside that is our business support programs. And to just take it one step further, we have also introduced a new department called Public Trading, which specifically focuses on the informal
Can you please round
economy,
up
to
MMC
modernize
first?
it,
You have taken
to
at least 50
professionalize it.
minutes.
Modernize it,
50
making it
minutes.
easier for more people to
Isang?
become public traders, and
Isang?
to professionalize it, to make markets much more accessible, to
Yes,
build
Madam Chair.
markets that are dignified,
I've
etc.,
I've
etc.
asked the
Now,
MMC
our
first
chairperson,
to please round
now
up.
I want
That
to
has now been
ask,
for the
with your
next 10,
permission,
15 minutes.
if I can
But,
ask my
if you're not
director
rounding up within the
to
next
quickly
minute,
take you through the
mute him,
Lookout
please.
Hill project
Order,
overview.
Chair.
I
Order,
know that your
Chair.
committee did the
We don't
oversight.
know who to listen to. Yourself,
And the
Isang, the
reason, of course,
presenter, all
here
on the
is to give
platform.
you an
Can
update
one person
on
speak
what
at the time?
we have
You
done
speak
at
and the
Lookout Hill.
presenter keep quiet and you raise your
There
matter,
are,
but he
before
keeps on
and
speaking
after
while you are
photos of
speaking.
this
Clearly, I
presentation.
can't
The
hear us.
facility has been
So can
cleaned,
that be corrected
repaired,
before we move
improved,
forward?
stabilized.
I'm not sure
But for
whether
me, the
he's
physical
able to hear
improvements
us
are only the
or
first
he's
step.
just speaking over us.
Chair, I have muted Honorable Foss so that you are able to address.
Yes, please. Thank you, everyone on the platform. Honorable Foss, we've given you 20 minutes. We've given you 5 minutes. We are now reaching 55 minutes. Our honorable members still need to go to the precinct, Parliament precinct, for the sitting that is happening at 2 o'clock. And you are aware, as you've stated, you were a member before of Parliament, that 12:30 the buses leave the parliamentary villages. So we are also pressed for time, and we've also wanted you to interact with some of the questions that honorable members on the platform would have posed. So, you know, all of the time cannot be used just for the presentation. We would like to
Madam
post
Chairperson,
and interact.
can you hear me?
I think there's an audio problem on Honorable MMC Foster's side. Disang?
Yes, you may address Honorable Foster now,
Madam
Chair.
Chair. Madam Chairperson, can you hear me?
Yes, MMC Foss?
Oh, there. Thank you. So, Madam Chair, following the oversight visit and the recommendations received from the committee, significant remedial work has been undertaken at Lookout Hill, and members will see from the presentation the before and after photographs in the presentation. As I've said, I don't know, I see that I was muted there, but so I don't know where you've lost me, but for me, the physical improvement are only the first step. The real objectives for Lookout Hill is the activation of that asset, because infrastructure must have a purpose. It must generate activity. It must support businesses. And that's exactly what we intend to achieve at Lookout Hill. These assets must not simply stand idle. They must work. We must fill them up with businesses that can contribute to the economy. We must create reasons for people to visit the facility. And saying that, I must say, I'm not always in favor of building a visitor center out in a community and hoping it will attract visitors. It doesn't work like that. You have to fill the facility up with businesses that have real products and real service offerings to attract visitors and locals to the facility, and not the other way around, where you simply build a building and then hope it will attract visitors. So we are going to look differently at Lookout Hill in terms of its future significance, making it a co-working space, a small business incubation space, and to fill it up with real businesses that can contribute to the optimization of that asset. I know that when your visit took place, there were many things that were not correct, and I can tell the honorable members here today that we have spent a lot of time and resources and funding fixing the building up, and now taking it to the next step of making it a business hub where we can fill it up with real businesses to give visitors and locals a real reason to make use of the Lookout Hill facility. With your permission, can I ask my director to take us through the next few slides to give you a fresh update on the Lookout Hill? Thanks, Madam Chair, honorable members.
MMC Foss, and I hope you hear me and you hear me clearly. This meeting was called by myself and the Portfolio Committee. I was strict in terms of giving time, of which I've said to you, all presentations as 20 minutes. You got an extra 5 minutes from the department. And if you look at our time now, it's 7 minutes to 11, which means that you've nearly taken an hour of our time. Now, honorable members, and as you've stated previously, you are also a member of parliament, needs to take the bus at 12:30 from the parliamentary villages to the precinct. And I would like honorable members to pose questions to you before you leave. And therefore, I've said that, and I've asked twice during the meeting, please round up, and you haven't rounded up. And this is an hour presentation. That perhaps what then needs to happen is for us to give you another opportunity at some later stage to come and do the presentation, because I can see there's a lot of work that is happening, and we then see how does also the department, etc., take their hands in some of those projects that you are mentioning here. But I would like honorable members to get an opportunity to pose the questions and not be on a bus somewhere to the precinct and unable to pose those questions. And yourself, you are leaving at 12 o'clock, which does not leave honorable members sufficient time even, because we still have the Wesgro and they also have a big presentation that need to follow. And we are looking at the time at when you ask to be released.
So, Madam Chair, can I come in?
Yes, you may, MMC Force.
Thank you. I must apologize. I did not hear you asking me to round up. There might have been a problem with the sound on the platform. So I did not hear you ask me to round up. So apologies from my side. The Zoom is for us a platform that we are not using in the city. We use MS Teams. So there might be a problem that I did not get your round up. So I do apologize for that. Then in terms of my departure for 12, I will extend my time with you. So I don't want you to worry about me departing early. I will stay until as much time as you need for me to assist with the answering of questions. And again, apologies for not hearing your round up. There was definitely that sound did not come through. I don't know whether it was because of the video that the sound was muted maybe, but my apologies for that.
Apology accepted, MMC Force. I think we realized that there was an audio problem because I've asked, and I think one of the honorable members, it was Honorable Hlongo, that said that, you know, we hear different sounds, but we don't think that you are hearing us. So your apology is accepted. Now, in terms of the roundup that your person from the department have to do, let's give that person 4 minutes, the next 4 minutes until 11 to round up everything. So you have 4 minutes left.
Thank you, Chair. It's Lance Fralin here. Yeah, good to be with you, and I'll be as quick as possible. And I think we can run through most of these slides quickly. I just want to check, Alderman Foster, are you controlling the slides? Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. Okay, so you all know about the existing facility. I know that you did visit this facility. Unfortunately, you visited it at a time when it's going through a major transition. And just to say that we understand the issues around the maintenance that needed to be done. And I think the next slides will show you that. And so we had always planned to do the maintenance over this period. And we are busy fixing all of these issues at the moment, which we'll see. There's the existing conditions. You know about the damaged roof. That roof has given us immense problems over the years, and we are once again having to fix it. But we determined to try and do this to make sure that we get a proper warranty and that it actually really stays fixed this time. That tells you about all of those. I think you can go to the next slides quickly, Alderman Force. Yeah, that's all the health and safety stuff that we needed to fix. And so just to say, over the last 6 months, we really have been doing all of that maintenance, doing all of the health and safety to get it into as good a condition as possible. We understand that this site often requires ongoing maintenance, particularly on the roof side because of the design of that roof. But we're hoping that this time we would have fixed these problems for at least a number of years around that. Just to also say that we have been in engagements with Workshop 17, as you would have noticed and you would have heard. So ultimately, our plan for Lookout Hill is that we've recognized that as a department and as a city, it's very difficult for us to manage a facility of this size and make sure that it is used optimally. And it hasn't been used optimally over the years. We know that originally it was used specifically for tourism. Unfortunately, it hasn't always lived up to that ideal. It's very difficult to attract tourists there if locals aren't frequenting it as well. And in a survey that we did with the surrounding communities to say, how should we re-envisage Lookout Hill? A big demand that came through is that people want to actually utilize it as well as for office space and for various measures like that. And so that's why we looked at getting in a partner. And I know that some of the existing tenants were quite excited to hear that Workshop 17 was interested. So what we are hoping to do, we will still own the facility. We will still have to maintain it, but we will ultimately be looking to lease it out to Workshop 17. They will then fit out the interior of it as well. There's the tenant fit out, and you can see we're working on the roof. These are all present photos. so that we can then turn this into a real site that can serve the community of Khayelitsha and the businesses of Khayelitsha. And so that is specifically what we are looking to do. Hopefully within the next few months, we'll be able to sign the lease with Workshop 17 and be able to properly fit it out, and then to have it as a usable facility for all of the potential clients in Khayelitsha. So that is our view about the future of Lookout Jail. And you can see it's a co-working and office space, event and conferencing venue, restaurant and industrial kitchen. We also want to have weekly markets and trade in there. So I think it's going to be a really good site. As we said in the beginning, it's on that Spine Road corridor. We see it as a very strategic site, and we're hoping that this latest intervention will then help for it to be utilized in the most optimal fashion. And I think I'll close it there because I know we are pressed for time, but obviously we can take questions in the question and answer session. Thanks, Chair, for that.
Thank you, MMC Foss and Mr. Greiling, for your presentation. I'd like to give the person from Wesgro an opportunity to take the committee through your presentation.
Chair, if you can just confirm that you can see my presentation.
We are not seeing anything on the screen yet, Mr. Sandiso. You are I think they've mentioned that you are the CFO. Is
That's
that correct,
correct,
Sandiso? Okay. You may proceed, Mr. Sandiso, but there's nothing on the screen. Disang, on your side, are you able to see anything?
It's in the process, Chair. It should be on the screens just now.
I'm not that familiar with those rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know once you can see. I'll make it full screen.
Okay, we see it now. You may proceed, Mr. Sandiso.
Thank you, Chair, for this opportunity to present to the Portfolio Committee. I know we're pressed for time. I'll try and monitor my time closely. I think, Chair, the first thing I'll do is that I'll give context in terms of who Wesgro is. Wesgro is part of the economic leadership team in Cape Town and the Western Cape. We work closely with our funders, which is primarily DDET and City of Cape Town. We are proudly South African. We are responsible for ensuring that the region is positioned to compete globally and in a challenging global environment. Our mandate is to differentiate Cape Town and the Western Cape as a leading regional economy, is to increase foreign and domestic investment into Cape Town and the Western Cape, is to grow Western Cape exports of goods and services, is to grow leisure tourism consideration in international markets and local markets, as well as to grow business events. My presentation would largely be focusing on this part of the mandate, but also we also look inwardly to ensure that the agency is future fit, relevant and trusted. TIPA. We're publicly funded, as I mentioned earlier on, with a private sector board in the majority. We've got about 100 staff members in the employer agency, and we located in the nexus between government and the private sector, between the present and future economies, and also working between local and global stakeholders. We have a strategy, Chair, that touches on the tourism mandate. Firstly, I'll just skip the other parts. I'll focus on the tourism one, is to drive the Western Cape value proposition online and cross-sell our different mandates. I think we've got a unique position in that because we've got the 3 mandates, we're able to use one mandate to cross-sell against another, and also to focus on engaging audiences in new markets through new channels. We want to drive and attract new investments in from key investing source markets, but also drive exports in identified area. We are focusing on unlocking access in those new markets and with new buyers. Particularly the markets that we're calling new, that we're focusing on is China, ASEAN, India, Brazil, and the Middle East. But we're also maintaining our focus in our established markets, being the EU, UK, USA, rest of Africa, including the South African domestic market. We've got catalytic delivery models that I'll take you through, and we're looking to replicate those to see how we can accelerate delivery. But also we want to leverage our strategic partners to ensure that we're able to scale our mandate. I would only look at number 4, Chair, to say I've already spoken about diversification, but we also want to enhance connectivity and access. We want to grow tourism buyer base so that we have more buyers in international markets. We want to build a high-performing business event and visitor economy. We want to deepen industry coordination and public-private collaboration, while also ensuring that there's regional spread across the province, including township, which speaks to the issue that we're asked to present on, but also want to reduce the effect of seasonality in certain regions where that is pronounced. Chair, in the tourism space, we've got a strategy for the next 5 years. I'll take you through only the tourism part, which is we want to deliver 161 business events over the next 5 years. Over the 5-year period, we want to make sure that there's 250 ship calls. We are trying to attract, I'm getting a bit of feedback, Chair. Sang, you might want to mute. We want to make sure that there's 10 air routes. We want to make sure that we deliver 3 international tourism marketing campaigns, but also interact with 12,500 international tourism trade. We've got a modest budget, Chair, but with that budget, we're able to stretch that range to go a long way. That budget covers all the areas of our market, of our mandates. I'll just cover you through the key things we've delivered over the last financial year based on the unaudited figures. We've delivered 21 billion in new facilitated investments. We've delivered 3.8 billion in export declarations. We have a project called AU Invest, wherein we're able to facilitate the building of 4 new schools to a value of 220 million. We attracted 30 new conference bids, or secured 30 new conference bids in the last financial year, and the estimated economic impact of that is 683 million. We had a record-breaking season of 2.3 two-way international passengers for the first time in the history of the Cape Town International Airport. That translates to 7% increase in passenger numbers, but also we're proud that it also added 35% cargo trade volumes, and we delivered 3 trade routes there, Chair. We also have the project, I think Adam and Four spoke to it earlier on, around attracting cruise liners. In the 2024-25 season, we attracted 79 cruise liners, which is an 18% increase year on year. We did a few marketing campaigns. The one I'm going to focus on is the tourism one, which is with love on the locals. The total audience reach from those marketing campaigns was 43.2 million, including the other areas of the mandate. We take the Western Cape to the world, Chair, and bring the world to the Western Cape. That's how we summarize our mandate. This is some of the areas we have been to, taking the Western Cape value proposition, but also at the bottom, you'll see the international delegations have hosted within the Western Cape over the period. Chair, one of the catalytic projects I'm going to profile is Cape Town Air Access. To say we had total number of two-way passengers reaching 11.1 million for the first time ever in the history of Cape Town Air Access. We profile the number of domestic passengers we achieved and the level of growth that is. And we had those 3 routes that we delivered in the last financial year, which is a link to Cape Town to Gaborone, SAA Cape Town to Mauritius, and also Air Tanzania Cape Town to Dar es Salaam. And then we are also growing the Georgia route, Chair. The next project I'm going to talk about is the one for Cruise Cape Town. What we're excited about with this project, Chair, is that it's benefiting the other regions, which is Mossel Bay, Hermanus, and Saldanha Bay municipality. In that, in the last season, we had passengers going into those regions and 26 ship calls visiting those regions, generating an economic impact of 47.5 million in terms of spend. And we're hoping to develop a value proposition for the full coastline of South Africa, but also of Southern Africa, so that we can attract more cruise liners into the Southern African region. If you see on my bottom right. I'm pressed for time, Chair, so I'm going to be moving a bit fast. One of the areas that is key for tourism attraction is film, and it's a job creator because it supports 2 skills jobs for every 1 million rand spent. Apologies. And we want to leverage this to ensure that we also bring growth in the tourism space. This is just some of the work that we do. We've got a dedicated advocacy team. We focus on lobbying on behalf of industry around policy development, working together with DIRED, and also supporting some of the work there. These are the missions we've done for that year. We have had film declarations of 1 billion over the FY26 financial year, supporting about 1,000 jobs. The other project I'll talk about is the trade innovation, which connects SMMEs to opportunities, which is our Cape Trade portal. We've got 2,100 exporters registered on this portal. It also has products and services registered, about 8,000 of them. What's exciting for us, Chair, is the opportunity to expand this to include tourism SMMEs. And this year we're focusing on onboarding those within the space. Once they are onboarded within the Cape Trade portal, we're able to take them from a trade perspective to what we call an export advancement program, but we're able to replicate that to take export-ready tourism businesses through an advancement program as well. This is the impact that advancement program has had over the years. We're starting to see more trade declarations coming from women-owned businesses, and we're seeing who graduated from this program. So we're seeing that exporters register on our portal, go through this program, and at the end of it, they're able to speak to trade declarations having secured, and we're hoping to use this and leverage it for tourism and particular focus on SMMEs. I think I've already indicated, Chair, earlier on that we are part of a broader economic ecosystem to deliver on tourism growth. We don't do this work alone. These are some of the partners we work with. I won't go through it in detail. The slides were shared. This, Chair, just gives you a flavor of a domestic campaign we did, which is called With Love from the Locals. Over the 2 financial years, which is last year and the year before, it delivered reach of 16 million and 18 million respectively. We targeted the audiences in the Western Cape, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, KZN, and Northern Cape, and those are just a flavor of what that was about. But in this campaign, Chair, we used all the 6 regions, including the metro, to tell the story. Locals in those regions telling the story of the Western Cape and taking and inviting tourists to their homes. Chair, on driving inclusivity and regional spread, we supported about 36 leisure events with particular focus on townships. So the idea here is that we want to support events happening in the regions so that we can start creating a spread of tourism into the regions, but also within Cape Town, we support particular tourism events. We issued a similar call, so we advertised this publicly. We issued a similar call this year. We've received 127 applications for the new financial year, and we're in the process of evaluating those with particular focus on rural communities, regions, and townships. And then going forward, Chair, in the current financial year, we are looking at growing tourism economy through focused intervention. We're looking to work with partners like Satuvito in the township because I understand that space. I've spoken about the Cape Trade Portal onboarding of tourism SMMEs. We're working on itinerary development and promotion with focus on regions and township itineraries, including Cruise Cape Town guide. We're doing a township tourism playbook and guide to create a township and a community tourism playbook and guide. We're hoping to host township focus workshops in order to ensure that we offer training to the operators in that region and connecting them to platforms such as Travel Advisor. We're gonna have an agent familiarization and hosting which into townships, which we continue to do. This is where we host international tourism buyers within the region, but now there'll be a greater focus on the township tourism. We also do youth familiarization trips, the event support I've spoken to, but also profiling township tourism SMMEs to ensure that we're able to collaborate to tell their story. Chair, at the back of the deck, I'm not going to go through it. What we've done is that as a Wesgro team, we say our mandate lands across the various regions in the province, including the metro. This is where we've disaggregated our performance to show that it lands in each of the regions. I'll just flip through, Chair, without going through it in detail. It's available and I'll take questions. If you look at the bottom left, you see the leisure events we've supported in this region, which is Cape Winelands, but also you're able to see other areas of our mandate on how we've impacted this region. On the bottom right, you see the number of companies that receive training and mentorship through the EEP program. I'll just flip through. This is a Garden Road. I'll flip through. This is a Cape Overberg. I'll flip through West Coast, Central Karoo. We have been having conversations, Chair, with regards to Central Karoo with stakeholders to see how we could improve how this area shows up in the economic metrics and the work that happens. Then the last slide is the performance we've reflected for City of Cape Town. Chair, thank you so much for your time. I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sandiso. Honorable members, I'm giving you an opportunity to interact with the three presentations that was presented to us today. So may I see hands? I'm also going to give, because we've invited the people of the, is it the KDF? Is it KBF? They are on the platform. If they wanted to have a question or two on clarity, then they may also do so. But first, our honorable members, may I see hands? Disang, assist me with the hands, please.
Yes, Chair. Number one is Honorable Hlongo, Honorable Mutli, Honorable Lekharaba, Honorable Linda, Honorable Ishmael, Honorable Tito. And then I can see that the Khayelitsha Business Forum do
Who is
want to
after
say
Lekharaba?
it's Honorable Ishmael, Honorable Tito. Or Lekharaba, and then Honorable Linda, and then Honorable Ishmael.
Okay, after Lekharaba, it's
Honorable
Linda.
Linda, Honorable Ishmael.
Yes.
Honorable Tito.
Yes.
Then perhaps you can give the business forum. They do have their hand on up, Chair.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Hlongo, you may proceed. Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to everyone on the platform. Chairperson, I am going to ask these questions because one, I would have went to Western Cape for oversight for the whole week. Two, I land at the Cape Town airport every week. I'm at the airport literally every week. So I'm going to ask questions about issues that we see on the ground. I see the presentations, very beautiful. I see the programs, I see everything, but the reality of everything that we saw when we did our oversight in Cape Town says a different story. I must say that the issue of the Lookout Hill, we received a complaint, and I thought, Chairperson, we would have given the Khayelitsha Tourism Business Forum, something like that, an opportunity to speak here before we could put questions. But it's fine, Chairperson. But I thought that was going to happen in that way. Chairperson, like I said earlier on, that the picture that's on the presentation is not the picture that is on the ground, number one. We're being told about exclusive tourism transformation, township tourism and opportunities for all, yet the submission we receive from communities tell a very different story. The complaints before us from Khayelitsha Business Forums alleges that Black-owned tourism businesses operating from Lookout Hill have been displaced, denied access to facilities, and left without meaningful support. If this is true, then it is directly contradicts the narrative of the inclusive that we have been hearing from today, the inclusion that we are hearing from today. My concern is that the tourism in the Western Cape continues to benefit a small portion or established section of the industry, while township entrepreneurs and Black-owned tourism entrepreneurs or enterprises remain on the margins. We cannot celebrate the tourism growth if the people living in Khayelitsha, the people living in Langa, Kukuletu, and Mitchells Plain, and other townships are not meaningfully participating in the growth of the tourism in Cape Town. Chairperson, we cannot say there's to the MMC. I'm sorry, honorable member, to the MMC, there's a booklet that you get in Cape Town or in the city of Cape Town that speak of the tourism of Cape Town. In that booklet, the whole booklet that the tourist gets there in the airport, there's nothing that speak of Khayelitsha, there's nothing that speak of Langa, there's nothing that speak of Mitchells Plain. That is why I'm saying your presentation is very beautiful, but nothing on the ground. Ours is to say that if indeed tourism in Western Cape is for everyone, it must be the same attention that Cape Agulhas is getting, must be the same attention that the museum at Langa is getting. The sport, this cultural, in the first presentation spoke of culture and heritage. Which culture and heritage, when we land in the airport, we don't see any Xhosa culture that speaks to anything Xhosa related. We don't see any colored culture that's being promoted there. There's nothing at all. Only the top beautiful destinations of the Western Cape are promoted. Only the top beautiful destinations. That is where the Department of Tourism in the Western Cape is focusing. That is where Wesgro is focusing. That is where the city is focusing. We want to plead with you that please look into our townships. There is a lot of potential. The reason we are going to complain about crimes and whatnot is that we do not even want to develop them to the point. There's no crime. If I sit at Khayelitsha at Rens until 3 a.m. and I'm not marked, it tells you that you can go to Grants. We slept at Khayelitsha at Spades Hotel as honorable members to experience Khayelitsha. But you are neglecting these sectors, and we want to say that for us to be on the same page, everything must go accordingly. Tourism must be transformed in the Western Cape. Then also the issue of the hospitality sector. Majority of the restaurants in Western Cape and lodges and hotels and everything hires foreign national. The Department of Labor, we've engaged them. We've had a meeting with them. They told us that they've got 10,000 inspectors that will be hitting the ground running. But what is Western Cape itself doing? Because the high level of unemployment we see in the townships of Western Cape, particularly in Black people that could be benefiting in these restaurants, in these hotels, can be addressed through the tourism sector if indeed these inspectors can hit the ground running, if indeed the city and the province can do these assessments to see if indeed they are adhering to the labor laws of our country of hiring South Africans, not foreign nationals, because they want to exploit them and give them less money. So that is also a huge concern that we've picked up, that this hospitality sector hires a lot of people that are not that are foreign nationals. And then lastly, Chair, we went to Gugas Tebe Arts and Culture, where young people are gathered, where young people have everything through donors, through funders, through a lot of people, except the Western Cape. There's nothing they speak of government, nothing they say about government. These people came here, tourists came, they donated this one donated this, but they don't get the support from the Western Cape Department of Tourism. Yet they are organized young person doing a very good job, but they do not have the support. If they are getting support from outside, clearly they should be getting support from home. And then lastly, we went to the Africa Tourism Indaba. Every tourism authority from all these 9 provinces had brought in SMMEs to just show them to come and promote their products in the big platforms like the Africa Tourism Indaba. And Western Cape did not. The ones that we met in Western Cape told us, we came here with our own money. The department is not partaking like other provinces would have done, that they take us small SMMEs from the townships, they bring us to these platforms so that we come and sell our products. Why doesn't the Western Cape do that? Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Motley.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, colleagues. You know, the MMC force said very clearly, what's on the piece of paper is not necessarily what's on the ground. And we've been on the ground. Let's go to Lookout Hill. I call it Look Down Hill now. We've been there. The place is in a serious disrepair. I just want to ask Mr. Grayling and Mr. Foss why the repair is being done now, after we've been there. And they're doing the repairs now because the members of parliament, remember this MMC Foss said he was a member of parliament, so he knows exactly what questions are we going to be asking him. That's why he finished his thing at the end, saying that, you know what, look out here. Now, every stall was, when we went there, every stall was empty. There was nothing happening. There was grass growing on the, where you walk on those little brick things. It was bad. And my big thing to the chair and to the minister, Wesgro has done very well, I think, and they're speaking about township, which we want to see, what we want to hear. We want jobs given to our people, and there's no money being given to the townships. We just hear this on a piece of paper. You know, nothing. We haven't been there more than 4 months ago. What has changed from 4 months to now? I can't see much has been changed. Now they're busy repairing Lookout Hill. So, MMC Force, please, what's on a piece of paper is not necessarily what's on the ground. The one thing I like about what you spoke about, the advertising of the Western Cape in London, New York, India, and China, I think you spoke. That's well done. The other thing is, Chair, the synergy between the municipality of the Western Cape and the province and the parliament is going very, very well. My question to you and the minister, what's happening to the other provinces, the other 8 provinces? It seems like you guys forgotten about that. Something needs to happen. We need to hear the same thing. We want to see the same kind of meeting happening happening with the other provinces and the leadership the leadership of the tourism group of the. Sorry, I'm not well.
Committee.
The committee, yeah. Sorry, the committee. So we can have all these things on a piece of paper and nothing seems to come out of on the open yet. Let's do something about the other 8 provinces. Sorry, we only talk about the Western Cape all the time, and nothing seems to happen to the other 8 provinces. So So it's your job, Chair, and the Minister, to make sure we have meetings like this in the other 8 provinces. I thank you.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Mutli, but we are going to visit the other provinces. We had floods in Limpopo and Mpumalanga when we were supposed to go to those provinces. I'm just reminding you, there were floods. And so we had to reschedule those oversight visits. But we are most certainly going there, and we were most certainly in your province of KZN. You were with us at the tourism in Daba. Let me go to the next honorable member, Honorable Likaraba.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very fast considering time. Chairperson, I would like to talk much based on Khayelitsha precinct. While the present Khayelitsha precinct presents significant opportunities for cultural, township, and community-based tourism, several challenges continue to hinder the growth and sustainability of tourism in the area. Firstly, safety and security remain major concerns. Perception of crime and safety risk can discourage both domestic and international tourists for visiting the precinct, despite the rich cultural experience available. Secondly, the infrastructure challenges such as inadequate signage, road maintenance, public entities, and tourism information points can negatively affect the visitor's experience. Tourism needs easy access to attraction, transport services, and reliable information. Thirdly, there is a need for strong marketing and destination promotion. Many visitors to Cape Town are unaware of the tourism product and experiences available in Khayelitsha. As a result, tourism benefits remain concentrated in traditional tourism hubs, while township destinations receive a smaller share of visitor spending. Another challenge is the limited participation of local tourism enterprises in the mainstream tourism value chain. Small businesses, tour operators, accommodation providers, and cultural enterprises often struggle to access markets, funding opportunities, and partnership with larger tourism operators. Furthermore, Chair, skills development and capacity building remain important. Local entrepreneurs require support in areas such as business management, digital marketing, customer services, and product development to compete effectively in the tourism sector. Therefore, I would like to know the following, Chairperson. What specific initiatives are being implemented to promote tourism in the Khayelitsha area? How are safety and security concerns being addressed to improve visitors' confidence? What support is being provided to local tourism business to enable them to participate meaningfully in the tourism economy? What is Wesgro ensuring the tourism marketing campaigns, including township tourism destination as Khayelitsha? What measures are in place to ensure that tourism growth translate into tangible economic opportunities and job creation for local residents? Chairperson, I'm not here to advocate for the Khayelitsha Tourism Forum, but I consider myself fortunate to have visited into the Khayelitsha area during the oversight early February this year, where we had an opportunity to engage directly with tourism stakeholders and observe realities on the ground. Khayelitsha is one of the best places that I've ever visited. As Hlongo have indicated, that we slept there, we eat delicious food and all those things. One of the issues that did not sit me well, Chair, during the visit was the absence of both the city and the department during the oversight visit. This was despite the fact that invitations have been sent and the visit has been communicated in advance. For us, Chair, oversights are very much important because they allow members to assess challenges and opportunities firsthand, but they are also an opportunity to relevant stakeholders and government institutions to engage with communities, listen to their concerns, and provide support where it is needed. I therefore hope that today will receive the clear explanation as to why the city and the department was absent from the oversight engagement. More importantly, I would like to know what steps have since been taken to engage with the stakeholders we met to address some of the challenges affecting tourism development in the Khayelitsha, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Ikaraba. Honorable Linda.
Good morning, Chairperson and all delegates on the platform. Thank you for all the exciting presentations, and it's encouraging to see that your dedication and your love for tourism is far-reaching. Chairperson, it's really unfortunate that my colleagues only spoke about Khayelitsha and not ask questions mostly on DDAT and Wesgro, so I will ask some questions on DDAT. On priority 2, you trained 577 tour guides. Do you have additional programs to assist these guides to be taken up in the tourism sector? And how many of them are actually working? Please explain, what do you mean by 743 individuals were inspected? The Tourism Safety Support Program. What is the role and responsibilities of the tourism ambassadors, and what role do they play in keeping tourists safe? On priority 4, how is tourism enterprise guides distributed? Please explain what is the criteria for your growth fund applications. And does your community-based tourism include an agri-tourism model? And if yes, do you have any agri-tourism programs, and what are they? Chair, on the Cape Town presentation on tourism, this presentation is an excellent example of how our department should approach tourism, not as a standalone sector, but as an economic growth, investment, job creation, and destination marketing strategy. We see measurable outcomes, investment, innovation, international market diversification, community inclusion, job creation, and strong public-private partnerships, which we advocate for. We see clear outcomes such as the increase of the international and domestic arrivals and tourism that supported more than 106,000 jobs, also what we advocate for. We see evidence of transformation through market access and business growth rather than dependence on grants. Chair, what our department is talking about in reports are already done here in practice. For Cape Town, safety is a core tourism issue. The TravelWise program, safety partnerships and direct interventions demonstrate a seriousness that can inform the tourism safety plan that our portfolio have been waiting for so long. I propose that the Department of Tourism study the Cape Town tourism model, safety model, and establish a national tourism safety framework, as I've requested several times before, in partnership with municipalities, SAPs, airport, tourism businesses, and destination management organizations. Chair, we can learn from Cape Town's India campaign, and I propose that SA Tourism develop a dedicated India growth strategy with measurable annual targets for arrivals, air connectivity, and tourism spend to complement this campaign. Alderman Vos, we are excited about your tourism framework for 2030. All the best for you and your team. There will always be challenges, but we thank you for what you are doing for tourism and economic development. Chairperson, the question for us as a portfolio committee now is, do we have the political will to replicate these successes across South Africa so that more communities can benefit from tourism-led job creation and economic growth? Then lastly, Chairperson, on the Wesgro presentation, thank you very much for this report from Wesgro. On page 18 of your report, you outline an ambitious township tourism economy intervention for 2027, including an MOU for Satavito, onboarding SMMEs onto the Cape Trade Portal, and a township tourism playbook. However, many similar initiatives have remained pilot stage. Can you provide specific measurable targets for 2027? For example, how many township SMMEs will be onboarded? What total spend will be facilitated, and how will you track job creation? Secondly, what is the single biggest barrier you currently face in scaling township tourism, and what do you need from national government to remove it? Chair, next question. I have 3 questions on this. On page 5, you stated that you reach 120 million audience to consider Cape Town and the Western Cape as a destination. But what is your conversion rate from the audience reach to, number 1, actually bookings, number 2, new international tourist arrivals, and 3, total tourist spend? Chairperson, my last question is to Wesgro. Do you have a plan or a dedicated agri-tourism program? If yes, what does that entail? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Linda. Honorable Ishmael.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, colleagues, and everyone on the platform. Firstly, I want to thank all the presenters for all your presentations. I must say, very positive and refreshing. My questions on the Western Cape presentation. One is you supported 172, businesses. Sorry, I've just lost my own notes here as I'm going along. Give me 1 second. You supported 172 businesses and 19 million rand through the growth fund. Can you share how these rural authorities or township businesses that use these funds are now growing, creating jobs, or, winning new customers? My second question, township tourism potential. This is on the page on key message. You increase investment in township communities and flagged cultural heritage tourism there. Please, can you provide us with more information on how this support is helping them to reach more visitors? And then my third question, on priority 2, you said 577 guides trained with new skills like astro, marine, and culture. Are community guides getting access to new types of tours or higher value markets because of this training? Any early wins you can actually share with us? And then on the City of Cape Town presentation by MMC James Voss. Firstly, I must say I find your presentation very, very positive, very, very refreshing. And I want to highlight some very good and strong points that I picked up on this presentation that I think can be used as a learning curve for all other provinces and the national department themselves. So firstly, township tourism focus. Kailisha, Guguletu, Langa programs, plus 9 local tourism forums with 77% peak attendance. I see a positive for putting money and attention beyond the VNA, and I think that's excellent. Secondly, SMME access. 10 SMMEs at WGM Africa plus ICASI networking. This market access is exactly what small operators need, and I think this is an excellent example again. Looking at sustainability, upcycling old banners into bags by women and local communities. This should be applauded. This type of circular economy plus jobs in one move is actually excellent. Looking at data transparency, you tabled the actual numbers, and I'm always looking at return on investment. 233 million impressions, 3.48, CPM. When you're looking at cruises, 1.79 billion rand GDP impact. This presentation has provided more constructive detail than most presentations thus far that I've actually seen. And in looking at universal access, UA briefing plus toolkit for 69 companies, this shows that Cape Town is leading on limitless tourism. But now for my questions. The Western Cape has consistently argued for the devolution of certain policing powers, citing ongoing challenges such as gangsterism, extortion, violent crime, and illegal firearms. Now, these challenges continue to affect communities, businesses, and economic activity, particularly in areas across the Cape Flats that have significant tourism and SME potential. From your perspective, Element Force, to what extent do safety and security challenges constrain the growth of tourism and tourism-related SMMEs? Do you believe that greater provincial authority over policing and law enforcement would assist in creating a safer environment for investment, tourism growth, job creation, and economic development? My second question, what support would you like to see from Parliament and this committee to strengthen the tourism sector and enable the city and province to implement their tourism strategies more effectively? You're doing a good job, but what support would you need from the National Parliament? Thirdly, the Western Cape has achieved notable success in growing tourism, but there is still considerable potential for further growth. As the committee or as a member of this committee, I would like to understand what legislative policy, funding, or oversight interventions are required from the national sphere to help unlock that potential? And then please can you provide us with a brief report on what is Cape Town doing to improve public training and SMME support for township-based businesses? I think that's key. And then again, can you you've spoken a lot on destination campaigns and destination development initiatives. Please, can you provide us with more information on your destination management strategy to help businesses become more tourism ready? I think that's key. I think it's something for us to learn and also for the National Department to actually take it to other provinces. And then maybe you can tell us more. I think you have alluded to your, tourism framework, but I think, you can actually teach us more about this going forward. And then please, can you advise us on how your international campaigns convert and what's your domestic tourism program all about? And then does the city of Cape Town, have your own tourism department, or do you also outsource some functions to the DMO? And then my last question to you, what's your view on the TEF and TTF projects or programs? How is red tape negatively impacting SMME access to entrepreneurship opportunities? I mean, looking at our oversight visit to the Western Cape, and I must say overall it was very good besides obviously the negativities picked up at the Kalisha National Project. But many of the people we visited there and the projects we visited, many of them highlighted red tape, red tape, red tape. So that is why I'm asking your view on this one. And then, just on the, I'm glad to see that, your last slides on the Kalisha project. I mean, I'm very glad to see the positive progress on this project, and I will visit the same place again sometime soon to see these new developments, but I'm glad to note that, something is being done. On the Wesgro presentation, my inputs are very clear and simple. My first point is one agency does more, and it's very effective. I mean, Wesgro handles tourism, trade, and investment together. That teamwork helped bring in 21.8 billion rand investments with only 159 million rand budget spent. This is phenomenal. And then secondly, looking at flights equating to jobs is exactly what we need. I mean, from the presentation I read, Wesgro runs the Cape Town Air Access team. They got 11.1 million passengers, 3 new African flights, and a direct flight to Sao Paulo, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly, from 2026. These more flights mean more tourists and trade, and this is actually excellent. And then 3, helping small businesses sell. I mean, the Cape Trade Portal got 2,138 local businesses onto an online platform with 770 buyers worldwide. Now, they are adding tourism businesses too. It's real market access, not just workshops. And this is what I like to see and what I like to hear, because you're giving me constructive, real numbers here. And then spreading tourism around is what we really need and want to see more of. I mean, I'm reading here, Wesgro supported 36 events in all 6 districts, not just Cape Town. They also signed an agreement with the South African Township and Village Tourism Organization to grow township tourism, and this is exactly what we need. And then lastly, showing the real numbers again, as I like to say, I like to see return on investment. Wesgro has given us clear data. Cruise tourism added 1.79 billion rand to the economy, 79 cruise ships visited, and they track visitor satisfaction. I think, honest numbers build trust, and I really want to appreciate these presentations. And again, I'm going to say I'm glad to see that there is some positive outcomes with the Kalisha National Project. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ishmael. Honorable Tito.
Thanks, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone who is present. Chair, I'm going to raise my questions on the Lookout Hill Tourism Center. We received a letter, a complaint letter from the KBBV. So I just want to ask the City of Cape Town, why were the tour guides chased away by the security instead of following formal dispute resolution with the KBV? And what is the City of Cape Town's plan to reinstate local operators and ensure Lookout Hill remains an inclusive hub for Khayelitsha entrepreneurs, not only for external operators? And then on the department, Chair, if government buildings are built for tourism centers with taxpayers' money, then evicts local SMMEs without notices, are we building infrastructure for tourists, or are we building infrastructure for consultants? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Tito. Honorable Basson.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I would like to welcome all the presentations. I'm not going to delay too much in time. Most of my MPs has asked relevant questions on my list as well. I just want to remind everyone in tourism that township tourism and small dorpies stretches beyond Cape Town. In Mpumalanga and in KZN, we are picking up that there's a lot of need for intervention. Every time we come to these meetings, every time we come to the house, I hear Cape Town, Cape Town, Cape Town. I would like to hear about the rest of the provinces as well. If we can please start having full reports, implementations, plans, and action. When? Dates. Because Cape Town is not the hub of South Africa. We have small dorpies and townships in every province, and every province should be highlighted by the tourism board. I am really, really disappointed that once again, it's only Cape Town. Second one is scarce skills. 90% of the oversight we've been to, we've seen foreign workers in tourism. Now, unless my education is wrong, we are only to employ foreigners if it's a scarce skill. But I can't see that in tourism. What is the plan to turn this around? When will the plan be taken into action? And when will we have a report on this? It is time we put South Africans first. It is time we put previously disadvantaged people who had no opportunity to education, as I had, first. It is time we correct apartheid in total. And we've got that ability in tourism to do so. Let us please lead by example. We are sitting with the poor and the poor in our townships that has no opportunity, yet we are employing and allowing our stakeholders to employ illegal foreigners. Tourism in Durban. After the tourism in Durban, there's two companies that reached out to me. I have given Disang's information to them. But it saddens me that these companies are not prepared beforehand who they can speak to in government to get their accommodation on the map. If we can please have a look on the tourism in Durban, how we interact with the foreign countries. And then Langa and Khayelitsha, those were two excellent oversights. What saddens me, once again, tourism is failing. Tourism is failing townships in Cape Town. When we come to this meeting, we get all these reports. But when we go to the ground, the feeling on the ground from our Rasta community was totally different. It was sad to stand there as a member of parliament and not even know if I'm welcome or not, because they have become so frustrated with the Department of Tourism not assisting. Yet when we come to presentations, we hear about assisting. But the red tape on the ground is much more than reality in these meetings. Lookout Hill. Is the hill open? Is the lookout open? Because that is the purpose of the hill, is the lookout point. Yet when we got there, we heard it's only open to exclusive people and that the foundation of the hill is not stable. Has this been repaired? Has this been opened? Or is the building still being under-rented to other businesses? Everything except for tourism. Can we please start having reality in our meetings and not a dream we all inspire and wish for? I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Basson. And as I've stated with Honorable Moodley, is that we had an oversight in the Western Cape. The other provinces, we are not overlooking them or neglecting them. We are still going to do oversight in those provinces. Your province had floods, and we had to postpone our oversight visit to Mpumalanga as well as Limpopo province. The reason why we have asked for the Western Cape to come is, if you remember clearly, when we were on our visit in the Western Cape, and especially Lookout Hill, we had two junior officials from the city of Cape Town, no one from Wesgro and no one from the provincial department. And we thought that, questions that we posed there could not be answered by them, that we will call the relevant people to answer to the portfolio committee. That is why we have called today's meeting. I thought, let me clarify that so that we are all on the same page. Now, I do see a hand here of Mr. Raymond from the KBF. Mr. Raymond, the platform is yours.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Chairperson of the Tourism Portfolio Committee, Honorable Malunga, and your committee, of course, for, first of all, to allow and give us an opportunity to share an audience with the department. And then number two, because number one, because now, I mean, today, eventually, we also have an opportunity now to sit down with the City of Cape Town, which is question is to Honorable Adrian, is that, I mean, when was it going to take the City of Cape Town back to us? Because we've been writing a lot of letters, inviting them to a lot of platforms, and actually the city never come up until today. So thank you, honorable members of the Tourism Portfolio Committee, for allowing and giving us this opportunity today. The Culture Business Forum and its sectors, particularly tourism sector today. Number two, I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to go a lot in the presentation itself, myself, in all presentations. For me, I think it's too much honorable MPC vlog. This presentation is a ILC product. The one picture there of Ubuntu, APC concept, and the two bikes. I think obviously, if you look at that picture in that presentation, obviously you just went into internet and said, AI, give me something about Elisha, and pop up became stories that, because those photos I know very well, they're very available. Even anyone just research, we have been going to AI, and the first that will pop up is those two pictures that we're using in the presentation that came to Elisha. Number three, I think quickly, I'm not going to be too long, Honorable. I think the speakers have actually covered me, Honorable Mhlongo, Honorable Moodley, in terms of locality. Khayelitsha being the second biggest township in South Africa. But if you look at the presentation of the province and the MEs in the City of Cape Town, it speaks about Workup, which is already developed. It speaks about Bergerrivier, then it speaks about Drakensberg, and then most of it you see just Kotaranti, and you ask yourself, why is Elisha being neglected? If so much we speak about the development, the township tourism, you look at it, you saw yourself in February. We were blessed with the presence in February day in locality. You saw yourself neglected for a very long time. As a result of, we've been evicted this year, completely, illegally evicted. I don't want to be saying we were misplaced. Tourism companies receiving complaints and information that, security has been chasing away. Tourist dog guides there that is bringing in tourists with K49 dogs instructed by City of Cape Town officials or Ellen Cameron and his team, and to say to them they must go out in the same way with us as well as other tenants that were there. We were not given any option to say that no, alternatively, because we are busy renovating this side, okay, let's say Maki. I mean, easily the City of Cape Town have done that, for instance. Just even taking the whole day, set up a site, there's a big party, and say in the meantime, okay, this is the arrangements for you if we finish with this renovation. I mean, even for me, sitting where I'm sitting, even the process of hanging over, the facility to workshop in was not fair. It was not a transparent, fair process. Even when they were starting to renovate, I'm looking at presentation. There's a lot of money that you already spend as a city, millions and millions of rand, and already I know it was 2 or 3 times, during that construction, the community came there and they tried to stop the construction because the community didn't benefit. Their money in Khayelitsha, we didn't benefit the process of procuring those opportunities, paintings, your roof marking, business forum, local businesses were never even given the opportunity to intervene in things. As a result, now where we're sitting with a problem that most of those businesses today, that was in March, today in June, Honorable Chair and the committee, we're receiving information, certain information. Some of these have actually decided to close down doors because they've been left by a city with no space, no alternative or space to operate. And some of people are even working hard. The one other business actually mentioned to me that they were getting an opportunity of employing plus minus 170 people in a 3 contract, but as part of the processes, their client was doing diligence in the offices that they said they were in lookout team, but when they came, they were no longer there in the lookout team. So already that thing was, we're telling their client, these people are not honest, and now they're sitting in a position whereby anytime, at any time, they can lose that opportunity. And when you go to the scene, approach them and say, come explain to us these things. What is going to happen? What is your plans? The city is nowhere to be found up until today. Strange to me. You look out even today. Fine. Within 6 months, even Adrian Floss, Uti, today they're spending millions and millions. And one of the good reasons came to us and said, no, we are selling this thing to Shop 17, which is one of theirs. It's because this facility, they budget, to maintain. Where is the money now coming from? From whose pocket is this money coming from? Because it's obvious, whatever is being invested by national government to develop township tourism is being taken by city into someone's pocket, or it's been taken by City of Cape Town and the provincial government, the tourism, and been invested in well properly developed area like the waterfront, the Kirstenbosch, and neglecting a township development. I think for now, let me pause there, comrade. Thank you, Honorable Chair. That's my input.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. That will be the last of our questions. Is Honorable Mashabela on the platform, Disang? I know she always struggles with raising a hand.
I don't think Honorable Mashabela has got questions. He would have sent them to me, Chair. But
Okay,
she does have connectivity problems.
Okay, no, I don't see her as one of the participants. It's fine. I think we need to proceed. And some of those questions that were posed to Wesgro, to the department, to MMC Force, if you could kindly interact with them. We'll start with Mr. Tofi and Mr. Stolz, then to Mr. Force, I think let's first go to MMC Force. MMC Force, we're going to give you a first opportunity, then we will, Mr. Tofi and Mr. Stolz will follow.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to check. Should I put my camera on? Yes.
And
okay.
then, who was the last person? I must not forget. The CFO of Wesgro, yeah. Will
Okay.
follow.
Madam Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, MMC Force.
Thank you very much. So, Madam Chair, with regards to the question from Honorable Shlongu, I respectfully disagree with the assertion that specific people of color are excluded from or do not benefit from our tourism programs. Everything we do is to build an inclusive economy. Now, in both our destination marketing and destination development work, we deliberately showcase and support tourism businesses and experiences in communities such as Langa, Kailicha, and Guguletu. And this is reflected in our visitor guides, our marketing campaigns, our itineraries, trade engagements, and tourism activations. We have also supported festivals and community activations in these areas that I've mentioned specifically to attract visitors, stimulate local economic activity, and create opportunities for local entrepreneurs. And importantly, we ensure that these businesses have access to markets. At the Tourism Indaba, for example, businesses from different regions and communities were represented, engaging directly with buyers and industry partners. Me personally, I've met with many of our Cape Town and Western Cape-based businesses. And so this is not a theoretical exercise. My team and I spend time on the ground working with operators and businesses to help them become tourism ready and to connect them to opportunities in the visitor economy. Can we do more? Yes, certainly. There is always room to expand participation, but it would be inaccurate to suggest that these communities are excluded from our programs. In fact, growing participation and creating opportunities for more entrepreneurs remain a key focus of our work. Now moving on to Mr. Moodley, or Honorable Moodley. On the lookout deal, I will ask my Director for Economic Development and Investment, Mr. Lance Greiding, to speak on the lookout deal project. So all of the questions raised by the honourable members, Madam Chair, with your permission and indulgence, I would really like Mr. Greiding just to explain in some more detail and unpack specifically the lookout deal project, because obviously I know the committee has taken a very keen interest in this facility, and rightly so. But with regards to Honourable Raymond's comment around India and China, you know, those are really, really important places for us to look at and invest much more of our time, because those are really, really key markets for us. And so I want to thank Honourable Moodley for acknowledging the work we have been doing in both China and India. I genuinely appreciate that recognition, because these are two of the world's largest and fastest outbound tourism markets, representing significant opportunities for Cape Town and South Africa when it comes to job creation and local business benefits. And that is precisely why we have made them priority markets for Cape Town. And so through our destination marketing campaigns, trade engagements, partnerships with tour operators, and also our ongoing discussions with the airlines in India and China, we are actively working to grow visitor numbers from both countries. A major focus is improving air connectivity, because we know that direct flights can be a game changer for tourism, trade, and investment. And we will continue working with our air access partners, airlines, our National Department of Transport in particular, that is responsible for the bilaterals, and industry stakeholders to strengthen these relationships and position Cape Town and South Africa as destination of choice for travelers from China and India. Now I would like to respond specifically to Honourable Ligaraba. Honourable Member, I appreciate the concern, but I think it is important to recognise the substantial work already underway. The city is investing heavily in infrastructure, including roads, water, sanitation, electricity, public transport, and safety interventions. We continue to deploy Metro Police, law enforcement, and other resources, because we understand that safer communities are essential for both residents and economic growth. And on business development, our support programs are continuously active in communities such as Khayelitsha. We provide training, workshops, mentorships, and practical support to help entrepreneurs start, formalize, and grow their businesses, including those operating within the tourism sector. And regarding the oversight visit, me, the MACO member, or the MMC, I unfortunately could not attend your site visit because I was required to be at a mayoral committee meeting, which is a statutory meeting that I was obligated to attend, equivalent to a cabinet meeting. So my absence should therefore not be interpreted as a lack of interest in the community or its development. In fact, we had some of my departmental officials on site who gave us quick reports that we could quickly then respond to and deal with. And we will talk more about the lookout yield now in a moment. Honorable Elmarie Lindy, thank you very much for your comments there, specifically around the tourism framework. And I must say, colleagues, as South Africa, we are at a pivotal moment. The way people travel, how they choose destinations, and what they expect from their experiences is changing. And so we as Cape Town, we must not just keep up, we must lead. And that is exactly what our new Tourism Framework 2030 is about. It's about shaping the future rather than reacting to it. And so if I can summarize in one paragraph, why this new strategy? The reason for the strategy is simple. Tourism is one of the greatest economic multipliers in any economy. And it brings in revenue, it sustains jobs, and it really fuels countless businesses from accommodation to restaurants, transport, retail, the creative industries. But for far too long, growth in this sector has been inconsistent, impacted by seasonal dips, infrastructure constraints, and a fragmented approach in marketing. And that is why our new tourism framework for 2030 really sits at the core of how we identify and present Cape Town's value proposition. While the city's natural beauty and our cultural riches are unparalleled, we must also refine how Cape Town grows tourism in an inclusive way, which many honourable members have emphasised here today. And that's why our new tourism framework will articulate how we attract visitors, grow those numbers, increase length of stay, increase tourism spending, increase geographic spread, all the things that we all agree on, because all of that will lead to more jobs. And so this framework reflects global best practice and local insights and will be a central pillar of our visitor economy strategy. Then I want to also thank Honourable Member Ismail for her questions. Firstly, safety and security remain among the most important barriers or obstacles to tourism growth, investment, attraction, and business confidence. And so while Cape Town continues to outperform many other destinations globally in visitor growth, crime, extortion, gangsterism, and illegal firearms remain significant constraints, especially in communities with strong tourism and entrepreneurial potential. And so many township tourism products, accommodation establishments, restaurants, small businesses operate in areas where safety concerns can discourage visitors and increase operating costs. And therefore, the City of Cape Town has invested heavily in municipal law enforcement, Metro Police, technology, CCTV networks, the LEAP officers, which is your combination of Western Cape and City of Cape Town deployment of law enforcement officers, and public safety partnerships. However, policing remains primarily a national competency. And so therefore, greater devolution of policing powers, accompanied by the required funding and accountability mechanisms, would enable more responsive local interventions aligned to specific needs of communities and economic growth objectives. A safer environment directly supports tourism growth, investment, and SMME development. Now, your question, Honourable Ismail, with regards to support required from Parliament. Well, there are for me 3 areas where this portfolio committee can significantly assist. Visa reform and easier market access for international travellers. We have already seen some significant changes made to the tourism visa regulations. For example, the trusted tour operator scheme and some visa-free countries that have been identified. However, I think more can be done in terms of market access. Secondly, continued support for air access and the implementation of an open sky policy. Now, I know that you have in national government an open sky policy that is on paper, but it is not implemented in the sky. So then it means nothing to no one. We need the implementation of the open sky policy that will mean the liberalization of our skies for more private sector airlines to fly more frequently and also to choose more destinations in South Africa. And that will really strengthen our aviation air access. And number three, regulatory certainty and foster decision-making across tourism, transport and infrastructure sectors. You and I know, colleagues, that tourism, transport and infrastructure are a trio. And I think from Parliament's side, greater emphasis must be placed on those three in collective and not in isolation. And so I do really believe that Parliament can play a great oversight role in ensuring that national entities responsible for our harbours, for our rail, for policing, are adequately resourced to be held accountable for service delivery that impacts on our tourism competitiveness. And then, Honourable Ishmael, you asked me specifically around support for public trading and township SMMEs. And this is where the city has adopted a very practical approach on enabling entrepreneurship. We've established a dedicated public trading department.
Please round up, MMC Force.
Thank you. And a dedicated business support program for SMMEs that focuses on smart procurement, supplier development, tendering, pricing, marketing. So we have dedicated programs specifically focused on those elements or support mechanisms for small businesses. And then, Madam Chair, there was the question from Honourable Ishmael was an important one around the City of Cape Town and Cape Town tourism. Now, the City of Cape Town has its own tourism branch within the Economic Development Directorate. So we focus on tourism policy, international place marketing, air access advocacy, cruise and conference, and then we fund Cape Town tourism to do destination marketing, visitor servicing through our visitor information centers, and also member support and trade engagement. So we make use of Cape Town tourism in a very strategic way to unlock membership, participation, networking, and then, of course, destination management services on the ground so that we can manage our destination in a better and more enhanced way to improve the visitor experience. And then lastly, Madam Chair, the question from Mr. Raymond cannot go unanswered. The comment that we do not respond to or engage with Khayelitsha Business Forum or that we have never met with them is simply not accurate. Secondly, that we have used photos that are artificial in our presentation, displaying experiences or work undertaken in Khayelitsha is not true. Those are real engagements that we do, and there have been numerous activations, consultations, and site visits over time, which I've personally attended, and it's ongoing. It's practical work happening in Khayelitsha. And in fact, our broader economic development and tourism work in Khayelitsha will continue to support local enterprises, destination development, and the record of engagement is there. It's active and it's ongoing. And so the allegation that people's hands are in people's pockets is something I will not engage with, as it is not supported by facts and is simply casting aspersions. We must work together. our focus remains on substantive, evidence-based work and accountability. And we certainly want to work with the Khayelitsha Business Forum in unlocking the true potential of the Lookout Hill facility. Because when infrastructure stands underutilized, nobody benefits. And I've never been a supporter of building tourism infrastructure simply for the sake of having a tourism building. It must be infrastructure with a purpose. It must support businesses, and that's why the Khayelitsha Business Forum is a valued stakeholder, and that's exactly how we want to contribute collectively to the visitor economy in Khayelitsha, where we must activate and optimize Lookout Hill for business support, for business incubation, and for real businesses to occupy space, co-working, co-collaboration, so that we can really do something there that will add value to Khayelitsha and to the greater visitor economy. My time is up, and I hope that I've covered as many of the questions posed to me. There is one unanswered on the ease of doing business index, but I'm happy to take that question in writing if you will allow. Thanks, Madam Chair. And then there were very specific points around Lookout Hill. With your indulgence, if you would like my director to specifically answer on the future of Lookout Hill.
We only have about 10 minutes left, MMC4, so I'm not going to indulge on that point. I would like to hear from Wesgro as well as the department. It's unfortunate, but I think what can happen, MMC4, is perhaps the director can perhaps then communicate with our committee secretary in terms of those questions, and then they can answer them and then send it through to us. It would be highly appreciated. Mr. Tofi and Mr. Is it Greiling, ne? Greiling, yeah. Mr. Tofi and Mr. Greiling.
Well, it's Mr. Tofi and Jacques Stoltz is my tourism director, who will pick up on the provincial government's projects.
Our apologies for that. It was Stoltz.
And it's Sandiso who will talk about the Wesgro.
Yeah.
Yes, Honourable Chair. I'm going to be very brief. I think it isn't acceptable that people from our department was not at your oversight committee. I've looked into that, and I just like you to ask that we please get advanced notice in the future so that we can ensure we are there. We can take you around, we can answer your questions and show you some of the work we're doing beyond the borders of the city or in the local communities. Please, but I apologize that we weren't there. Someone from my team or myself should have been on that. I wanted to say that our participation in the communities is on an ongoing basis. I went to Lezuko Mteto's to support him on opening his new hotel. I hope you go to Mteto's child, his villa in Khayelitsha at some point. That would be an amazing place for your committee to stay right in the middle of Khayelitsha. But I've been there personally for chamber events and for financial literacy events. So we literally go to every single of the 30 municipalities in the province doing financial literacy and doing business support. On the issue of, I don't think any of us here can answer the question of foreign workers. I think the National Minister, Department of Labour are picking that matter up to look for more enforcement. But I want to assure you that all of our skills development programs, our capacity building, and our funding programs go to people who can prove that they're South African citizens and South African-owned businesses. And then my brief question on the red tape reduction question is we have a very active between the city's ease of doing business program and our red tape reduction unit. It's probably one of the most effective programs. It's the thing that really makes this province work, is being able to react when there's red tape that needs to be removed. That's anything from a hotel approval or a township business that needs to look at their licensing. But we deal with several hundred inquiries every day. And if there's a repeat inquiry, our lawyers and our team take it up as what I would call a systemic proactive project. But Jacques Stoltz, if you could pick up on some of the specific questions about our tourism growth fund and so forth. Jacques, over to you.
Thank you,
Let's leave
Rashid.
some time for Sandiso. We only have a few minutes. Just keep it brief. Thank you.
I'll try to be very brief. Thank you, honourable members, for the questions. And again, we'd be very happy to respond to any written requests following this meeting. I think very briefly, there were a few questions touching on the work around tourist guides. We take an approach of continuous professional development. And so therefore our interventions range from webinars to two-day workshops, as well as even in some instances accredited training. This year we're not doing accredited training because of the transition to the new qualifications framework. For this year, for example, we will be rolling out a community guide mentorship program to support some of our community guides here in Cape Town. I mentioned inspections because we do conduct inspections to counter illegal guiding. So, for example, we received complaints from Langa about illegal guiding. We engaged with some of these unregulated guides, and we identified guides that were keen to regularize themselves, and we actually supported them to become fully registered through the training program. Then just in terms of the growth fund, there was a question around the criteria. The fund will launch in the next 2 or 3 weeks again to open for the new financial year. We request 2 years worth of audited financial statements, or in the case of sole proprietors, it can be management accounts by a bookkeeper. And then the other key criteria that we can't get away from is SARS tax bin. I'm very happy for us to share a list of projects that we have supported over the past few years, particularly in community-based contexts. I think then just in terms of lastly on the tourist guides is, yes, there will always be attrition. So some individuals sign up for a program and then you find 3 years down the line, they may not be guiding anymore. I think that happens, but we do try to stay in contact. We have, for example, WhatsApp groups with all of the beneficiaries that we've supported, and we do stay in contact with most of them. I think also this is why the approach we've taken in Stellenbosch is slightly different, because we partnered with Visit Stellenbosch as well as local businesses. And this year's tourist guides that's been trained have all been placed with businesses. There was a few comments about tourism safety. Again, that's probably a whole other meeting just to talk about safety. But I think the encouraging thing is that while we don't have SAP data in terms of crime affecting tourists, we do know that SA tourism data shows that generally tourism safety has improved dramatically over the past decade. And I think that's partly because of the interventions that we've implemented under the aegis of the tourism safety strategy. And then just lastly, Kailicha, we are always happy to engage with local tourism fora. I regularly present at the City of Cape Town Local Tourism Forum. I know that, for example, recently there was a proposal for a project in Kailicha that was submitted to the National Department of Tourism for consideration for the investment conference, which will take place in September. I think national support, very briefly to conclude, I know that some of the national tourism funds are currently under review. But I do want to say that, for example, the market access support program of the National Department of Tourism has been hugely welcomed by our local businesses. There are still ongoing red tape issues. We do still receive complaints about MPTR permits not being issued in a timely manner. I think the transition to the new qualifications, we have quite a few qualifications expiring at the end of this month, and the new qualifications have not been registered yet. So that is a big concern. And then I think lastly, just tourism monitors. We do rely on the Department of Tourism's deployment of tourism monitors. But what we find is that sometimes these monitors aren't deployed during peak season, and that then creates challenges for us. Chairperson, I'll stop there.
Sandiso, will you jump in? Yeah.
Thank you. I think there's a question from member Gaba relating to Wesgro funding for tourism. If you look at the current financial year, 55% of our funding from the province was in the trade and investment mandate space, and 45% was specifically earmarked towards tourism. If it's earmarked, it means that it cannot be used for any other purpose than tourism. I think having all the three mandates for us gives us an opportunity to adopt all of Wesgro approach and cross-sell across the different mandates. For instance, one example, when we went to India, we did a retail collaboration with a retailer in India. When we did that campaign it was for exports, but we also brought in the tourism leg to it in one campaign, and it landed quite well. And we worked with the retailer there, the name just escapes me, to bring that campaign to be. And it worked so well to deliver outcomes for both mandates. We're able to place 47 products in stores within a 6-month period, but also launch a tourism campaign. It also allows us to use products to tell the story of place. There are unique products that are only available in the Western Cape. Therefore, we're able to use that when we do our tourism mandate. The second question related to the issue of SMMEs at Indaba. I think the National Department of Tourism has got a program it's running to host SMMEs at various trade shows, including Indaba. I've been advised that there were 70 SMMEs hosted at that stand this year, and we do collaborate with them to make sure that the SMMEs from our region do get a chance to participate. They are vetted, and they run that program successfully. For us in the region, we issue an expression of interest. Whomever wants to partner with us on our stand, adopting a district approach, is able to indicate their interest. We took with us 3 districts that went with us. 2 of the districts in the province decided to go and have their own stands, which is something that we also allow. Chair, there was a question around slide 18 in terms of how do we know that we'll be successful. For all those items on slide 18, we've got clear outcomes in terms of what we're going to measure this year. Outputs that we're going to measure this year. For instance, that MOU will be established. We're going to onboard a targeted number, and there's a target of the number of companies we want to onboard on the Cape Trade portal. And for each of those, we can have the outputs to them. But I think the interesting thing for us is that we're going to track the outcomes of all of those outputs in terms of what do they translate to. And I think once we've implemented those, we'll be able to come back to the committee and give it more information in terms of what outcomes were achieved in relation to that project. And there were other questions, Chair. I note that it's after 1:30 and the members need to go on the bus. That would be willing to answer in writing and in detail to you, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sandiso, Mr. Tofi, and Mr. Stoltz. Honorable members, I think the outstanding questions that needed to be answered will be interacted with and sent through to our committee secretary, Mr. Disang, Mr. Sandiso. I think in reference to the tourism in Indaba, I was the one who have, I think, extensively engaged with the people at the Wesgro stand. And we've asked them, we've seen that other provinces have brought SMMEs, but we do not see that for the Western Cape. I think they had, the regional representation there, but not the SMMEs. And I think maybe for future, because these Indabas are every year, just to consider bringing your SMMEs there and giving them also exposure at these tourism Indaba that are yearly. Some closing remarks, honorable members. I just wanted to first and foremost thank the Western Cape department, provincial department that is here. Also saying thank you to MMC FOSS, as well as Mr. Rashid Tofi, Mr. Jacques Stolz, Mr. Sandiso, Mr. Greiling, yeah, MMC FOSS. And then our stakeholders, which is from the Kailicha Business Forum, that was here also given an opportunity. MMC FOSS, they were not Honorable Raymond. It was a member of the Kailicha Business Forum. They have written to us earlier this year as well after our visit. And so that is why we have clubbed everything together. They have posed their questions because unlike us, they live in Kailicha. You could see there that he says Raymond, KBF from the barn, which was the barn was in the Lookout Hill precinct. So he should have been ordinarily one of those stakeholders that should have been engaged with. And if he was not part of those stakeholders that you have engaged, he's here. Perhaps you should exchange some of your contacts and that, you communicate with the people of the KBF people that were in the Lookout Hill precinct. It is important to state as well that am I audible? Disang?
Yeah, we can hear you, Chair. We can hear you.
Okay.
It does this
We
every
lost you for a minute.
Yeah, it does this every week. That the committee acknowledges that DDAT and Wesgro holistic approach to destination management. However, we think it is important for us to state that it is not felt or seen across all areas of the province that have a tourism potential. There's some unequal development, limited provision of infrastructure, excess challenges to economic resources and markets, skills development. We need to continue to affect emerging enterprises in townships and small towns. While the introduction of the township development strategy brings hope, it appears to contradict with the provincial messaging, e.g., the building of walls that might entrench past policies. Contradictions are also evidenced in marketing of the products. And as stated by one of our honorable members, we've seen your booklet or magazine that did not feature any of our township tourist destinations. The committee acknowledges the funding initiatives for enterprise support, and those that are on the platform that are stakeholders can take into account the funding initiatives that are there for their support. However, once again, access is a problem for those based in the VTSDs. Several economic activities are evident in the city center and other prominent destinations like winelands. However, these are no filtering across the province in equal measures. An example is the cruise liner calendar that can be optimized through linking it with local events such as Cape Town Minstrels, or what we call the Kaapse Klopse. Investment in tourism infrastructure cannot just be contained in the urban spaces, so let us spread it across. Safety planning cannot only be evident in prominent landmarks and should be extended to destinations that are on the periphery. For the province to collaborate with tourism and business forums based in VTSDs to improve access to opportunities and ensure integrated marketing of tourism products in these areas. And we welcome the proposal by Wesgro, where they're saying that they are going to have memorandum of understanding with Satovito, develop holistic economic opportunities through products such as cruise liners, e.g. to link local events to the cruise calendar, integrate local tourism operators in municipal supplier database, address the fragmentation in marketing of the VTSD products, collaborate with local entrepreneurs, artists on displaying their products and wares at travel tourism shows and local markets. And that is where we would like to see them at the tourism indaba. Support local tourism products in VTSDs by linking them with South African tourism to ensure their inclusion in the national marketing initiatives. DDAT encourages to collaborate with SA Tourism on digital marketing to explore digital interpretation centers for all heritage sites in the province, develop a holistic tourism product in VTSDs, e.g. develop a similar precinct to Vilakazi Street around Lookout Hill. This is an opportunity that can be assessed across other small towns in the province. So we have, this is the recommendations for today's meeting. And we have also, given some suggestions in terms of some of these issues in Lookout Hill, etc. And, how can we ensure that we address some of those? We've said because we have had an oversight to Vilakazi Street, that, that Lookout Hill precinct, and I think you've said it's on one of the main roads there during the presentation, that we could look at, a similar product like Vilakazi Street, for instance. I also would like to just pass a condolences to Mr. Mzoli. We all know Mr. Mzoli. That is where we eat cheese and nyama in the Western Cape. That is one of the destinations where many people come from other provinces and they go to Mzoli's, as well as our tourists when they are landing here and we want to give them a local, a lekker experience. We take them to Mzoli's just to pass condolences to the family of Mzoli who has passed on. And with that said, thank you everyone for attending our meeting today, to the Kailicha Business Forum that is here. I hope you will have further engagements with MMC Force. He says he has an open door policy, as well as the Wesgro and as well as with the provincial department that is present today. And thank you, honorable members. I know we are past our time, but I've also allowed certain whom of us are traveling to the precinct and whom are not traveling, who are not in the province currently today. So I think there were only 2 of you that have indicated that you need to travel to the precinct, but I know that you are online because you are disciplined members of this portfolio committee. Thank you everyone for your presentations today, and may you have a blessed week ahead of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Chair, let me share the minutes quickly. Basically, Chair, I was just working on this one, but these are the minutes basically of the 2nd of June, which is last week. We had a meeting, which was a report back by the Minister of Tourism on the outcomes of the dual pricing study. Secondly, it was a briefing by the Department of Tourism and South African Tourism on the implementation on the committee resolutions for the 2025 budgetary review and recommendations report, including the adoption of minutes. And then you had all the members present. And then the delegation from the department. My apologies for that. I was trying to do some thing on this one, Chair. The presentation by the department on dual pricing, presentation on the Department of Tourism on the responses from the BRR, including the presentation on the Department of Tourism on responses to the BRR, and then the adoption of the minutes of the 19th of May 2026. And then these were all the, just my apologies on the, I thought I accepted all the edits. Yes, Chair. And then these were all the recommendations of the committee. But the report, the minutes were sent by the committee chairperson. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Disang. Honorable members, there you have our minutes. May I see a mover for the adoption of the minutes? Disang, can you assist me with the hand?
You've got Honorable Likharaba, Chair, and Honorable Linda.
Honorable Likharaba.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Before I move, let's check the date. It was written the 29th of June.
No, it's actually the
2nd,
yes.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Likharaba. Honorable Linda.
Chair, I am covered. Thank you, ma'am.
Are you seconding, Honorable Linda?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Okay, my dear. Thank you. Okay, Disang. I think, honorable members, we needed to inform you on our, is it our overseas trip? Okay, Disang, you can take us through.
Chair, if you allow me, just for 3 minutes, just to inform the members in terms of what the work that we have done for the study tour. Chair, the study tour, it's from the 26th to the 4th of July. The groundwork we have done administratively is for the committee to physically engage with the parliamentary committee that is overseeing tourism, the ministry that is overseeing tourism in Netherlands, also engage with entities that are state entities that are in the tourism sector, including stakeholders that are in the tourism sector within the Netherlands, which include the private sector organizations. And then the committee will leave, is intended to leave in fact, we are going to leave from Cape Town to Amsterdam, because that is like the cheaper route and it's direct flights, which is on the 26th of July, and then which is on a Friday. Then the committee will arrive on Saturday, which is the 27th. And then the committee will have a free day to just to rest. Then on Sunday, the 28th, it's basically an opportunity for the committee to engage with the embassy in the Netherlands. And then on Monday, the first engagement will be with engagement with the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy, which is an equivalent of the Department of Tourism in South Africa. And then secondly, on that the second day, on that Monday, basically there will be a roundtable discussion with key trade and media, with the objective of understanding the mechanics of in-country marketing, also how South African tourism collaborates in-country partners, such as the supply side, which is the South African private sector, which is the same as we are having in South Africa. And then on the Tuesday, it will be an engagement with the Netherlands Board of Tourism and the Conventions Bureau, which is the Netherlands National Destination Management Committee organization, which is an equivalent of the South African tourism in South Africa. It's an SAT of the Netherlands, if one were to say. So we will be looking at how this particularly the close relationship between the two partners in across sectors to shape the positioning, development, and marketing of the Netherlands as a destination. So it will be basically to say how they do the work that SAT is doing here, but how we learn how they do it in the Netherlands. And then the second agenda for the day would basically be an immersion experience, basically an introduction to localizing South African tourism, global strategy to specific market. And then this will be basically a walkabout, a walk park through the Amsterdam's Bos. It will be an activity that's basically explores the committee walks around the city and go through a tour to just look at what are the different local parts of the city that are tourist related. And then on Wednesday is basically the engagement with the Parliamentary Oversight Committee in the House of Representatives, which is also an equivalent to the Portfolio Committee on Tourism in South Africa, basically to look to this, which is responsible for economic affairs, which includes also tourism. And then there will also be a site visits, basically to museum visits, the Braai restaurants, which is a SA tourism activation location, which is a program of the South African tourism in the Netherlands, a train to Rotterdam, and dinner for consumer also observation, an evening walkabouts to assess tourism safety aspects within the Netherlands. And then we're also looking at an engagement with a private sector bodies, the one that is called Gastrif. It is a hospitality of the Netherlands, equivalent to South African Tourism Business Council in South Africa. Then there's also other organizations such as the Association of Travel Agents and Tour Operators, which is your equivalent to SATSA, which is the South African Tourism Services Association. And then also to basically, we'll also be engaging also with having a session with airlines that are operating within the Netherlands to ensure that to see how do current geopolitics affect future output in terms of arrival, spend, and access. And then we're also looking at the a focus group interviews followed by workshops, insights and gathered and used to extract insights and marketing strategies, city center walk, passing through office, coffee shops and tourism hubs. And then the last day will basically be a side tour to the tourist attractions in the city of Amsterdam. And then looking at if there are any other meetings that committee we couldn't finish on that particular Friday. And then the committee will leave on Saturday, which is the 24th, the 4th of July, coming back to South Africa. And then we will be using the Cape Town, Amsterdam route. And then we will arrive in Cape Town on the 4th in the evening. Members will sleep in their parks and then leave on the next day, which is the 5th, back to their cities and towns of origin. And then, Chair, in terms of the preparations for the oversight, when we did the application, we realized that the budget of the committee is 3 million rand. And then the quotations, they ran up to 4.5 million because the The Netherlands has got, it's quite expensive. It's about 200,000 for each member to go to the Netherlands. And it took us up to 1.4 million just on the flights. So when we shared all the quotations with the chairperson, and then the estimate costs for the application to the House chairperson, the chairperson advised that no, we should not exceed 3 million rand, as the committee only has 3 million for the whole year. And then the chair advised that we should try and take 6, we must make an application for 6 members, which the chair will speak to. In terms of because that when you took 6 application for 6 members, the cost of the study tour went up to 2.2 million, which leaves the committee with about 800,000 at least for the year for oversight and other activities. I will just speak to the chair to speak to the delegation of the committee for the study tour. And then in terms of visas, the Netherlands does not require any visas. So any member who travels with the committee will not require any visa to go to the Netherlands. We have received the letters already of waiver for the committee to travel. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you on Disanki. We had to, as he said, we had to cut the delegation that are going to the Netherlands. So the delegation, the names that we forwarded was Honorable Slongo, Honorable Ikaraba, Honorable Mootli, Honorable Linda, Honorable Tito. And then I will be leading the delegation. Other honorable members, you will be going next year with Honorable Maecho that will be leading the delegation. There we have it, honorable members. And I'm not sure, Disang, whether we will be getting the go-ahead. We still even have to look at that. Because the time that we want to leave, we all know that the 4th of November, we are politicians, all of us. The 4th of November, we are having local government elections. So it now also depends on the House Chair. We saw that we have given him our full committee to even go to the tourism in Daba. He's not allowed that. Let us see, because he said we need to stay within our budget. But let's see if the House Chair and the Speaker of Parliament will give us the go-ahead in terms of our traveling on our study tour. Thank you, Disang. I think, honorable members, we've now come to the end of our meeting. Let's cross our fingers that we will get a go-ahead. If not, as I've stated to Disang, if we are not getting a go-ahead, then perhaps we need to ensure that we finish up with Mpumalanga and Limpopo province. And then we have also asked for the inclusion of certain areas where the department have spent money in KwaZulu-Natal. We were told that we can only go to the tourism in Daba. So we cut out the visits to these projects that were funded by the department. So we'll also still have to look at how do we also visit KwaZulu-Natal. So if the House Chairperson, and we must not put our hopes up, I'm just warning honorable members, we must not put our hopes up. It may be that because of our schedule for the 4th of November, that we may not be allowed to travel, but that we then we'll then be able to do domestic oversight. And now with that said, honorable members, with our in-house, all of our in-house done, we can, I think people are already on the buses. It's now even 1 o'clock. We will release all honorable members. We have come to the end of our meeting. Must have a blessed week ahead of you.
Thank you, Chair.